Oh, you know what I love?
Sports.
I love sports.
Sports.
When it comes to
Texas A&M.
Where are you getting this information?
Let me tell you.
Welcome to TexAgs.
TexAgs Live.
I feel like I should be listening to the theme song from the Jeffersons. You know, we're moving on up.
We will develop men. We will graduate players. And we will win championships on the field.
It's a blessing to be in this position, and we're just thankful to be here. We're thankful for the opportunity to go out there and play in front of the 12 man.
He is a guy that has gotten better and better and better. He's just got that dog in him.
It's been special. The 12th man this past week was unbelievable.
And this is a real program. It's not fake. This is a real place. And if you want to be really good at football, this is a really good place to be.
You know, if I'm betting on anybody, it's the Aggies. Buchanan,
Nuño.
let's talk modern football, shall we?
Okay.
Modern college football.
All right. So we're talking about money.
We're talking about money and the power, okay?
Okay.
Like the great Scarface said. First you get the money, then you get the power.
All right.
What do you think can
Then you
be...
say, let me say hello to my little friend.
That was way later in the movie.
Well, but it is later.
And then the great Brad Jordan, Scarface the rapper, had a song about money and the power.
See, I didn't know either of those.
Yeah. Anyway.
Okay. But college football.
College football. What do you think, like, in today's world, where money is a driving force for these athletes, and by the way, we wouldn't be any different, right? Like, got an opportunity to make a lot of cash, I think many of us would jump on it. I know what I would want for my children, but we all have to write our own story. What do you think is the biggest issue in locker rooms or for a head coach when it comes to today's modern football?
Well, you know, obviously balancing of the budget, you know, make it and keeping everybody happy, I'm sure is a problem. Like guys are going to talk about how much they make. And, you know, somebody's always going to be saying, wait, if that guy's making that, I should make this. Or there's no way that guy's worth that much. But so, you know, I guess trying to handle dissension and trying to prevent that, I think that would probably be a big issue.
Well, the reason I bring it up is Coach Elko yesterday was in San Antonio for Coaches Night. And he doesn't say it's the biggest issue, but what he says is the biggest, well, I guess he does. The biggest puzzle of modern college football is maintaining chemistry and culture in an era where money has become involved in it. Who you bring into your program is critical. We have to be intentional about who we bring to this team together.
Yeah, and I think you've seen that with Mike Elko. It seems like now, look, we'll find out, but it seems like most of the guys he brought in, or maybe even all the guys brought in, are decent guys. You know? And I know that he wants to bring in guys that still want to play for Texas A&M,
right?
And not for, you know, a bunch of Ben Franklins, right? So, and anybody can say that. Yeah, I'm out team, and you know, and you can get the feeling or feel like you found that guy, but you know, you really won't know until, you know, later on. But yeah, I think that's really important. I think that's going to be the difficulty in finding the guys that really want to play for your team and not for the paycheck.
Yeah, what is market value in today's, like, I'm not saying a number, but like, do we even know what market value really is? It'll figure itself out. But again, with the House settlement, with the $20.5 million that's going to be paid to players, plus
I hear
NIL.
quarterbacks. I hear the quarterbacks. You know, the bidding starts. You know, I'm talking about major conferences,
$4 or $5 million
at one point. The bidding starts at 1.5. That's what I've been hearing. Now that doesn't mean you don't make more.
Sure.
But I remember Nico was trying to get $4 million out of Tennessee, and now he's getting 1.5. I think at UCLA. It's a shrewd business move there.
Yeah, it's all going to fix itself, but retention in A&M's locker room, I think, says a lot about the culture that Coach Elko is trying to build, and he has built, isn't he? He's not trying; he has built that culture.
Well, definitely making. If it's not built, It's almost built. It's he's got the foundation and the structure and everything. It appears.
All right, so let me ask you about some prior coaches here at A&M. Was there a point where that culture, in your opinion, was fractured?
Well, I think
Because, we spoke highly about Jimbo's culture at one point,
yeah,
and then it changed.
I think it changed with the
22?
with the 22 recruiting class.
Mhm.
I think they were wanting so bad to have the number one class based on 24/7 mathematics
Yeah.
that they lost sight of. Yeah, but what's the best thing for the program? Was it really the best thing to bring in a guy that a couple of guys that there were red flags all over the place?
Sure.
It was like a Russian Flag Day parade. And then other guys, hey, we're going to go so far in on this position group and kind of almost ignore this position group that everything got kind of skewed. Now, yeah, it was the number one class if your number one class is based on how many defensive linemen you get. But I think there were a lot of guys that had there were red flags around them. Like maybe they were just absolutely motivated by money. I think of one guy in particular, receiver, and then there's other guys that were just character risk, and some of those character risks kind of tainted some of the other guys, and then next thing you know, everybody's going everywhere.
Did it expose who this program really was, or did it change the program?
Oh, I don't think it exposed who it was. I think it exposed what that coaching staff was.
Yeah, that's what I meant.
What it had become.
What
it became.
Yeah.
Because I think at first,
no nonsense.
It was really good,
Yeah.
And then it just got kind of crazy and think, hey, if there's a problem, I'll throw money at it, and all that does is make the problem worse.
All right. When we talk about some of the concerns with the defense in 2025,
Okay.
concerns, question marks, where do we start?
I think we start with the secondary, especially after the last thing Mike Elko told us.
Okay.
At the end of last year. I think it starts with the secondary and coverage.
What's next?
When Peyton Thorne is lighting you up, you have concerns with pass coverage in the secondary.
No doubt. Where
I
else?
can't even remember the USC quarterback's name.
You're right.
So, yeah, that's because I think my next one is
Maviava, was that something like that? I can't remember.
Yeah, I can't even remember his name. I have to look that up today. The next one I think is the run defense, and by that I mean the I don't even want to call it tendency, the vulnerability to giving up the long runs for the big plays, and then after that it'll be the pass rush.
You're touching on something that comes up. Okay, so Coach Elko yesterday speaking about the defensive line. Okay. He goes, we've had more NFL draft picks on the defensive line since I got here in 2018 than any other team in the SEC. We are very comfortable replacing great players. DJ Hicks, Albert Regis, Rylan Kennedy, and Cassius Howell will all step up.
Okay.
He feels pretty good.
Okay. I've heard a lot of people over there talk about Cassius Howell really taking a step forward. I have no doubt about Cassius Howell as a pass rusher. I do want to see him be better against the run. Rylan Kennedy showed flashes. And DJ Hicks is a guy with a lot of talent. You're just waiting for him to have that breakout year. Maybe this will be that breakout year. I'm good with Albert Regis. I thought he's the most consistent defensive lineman last year.
Yeah, I don't find Coach Elko as somebody who just says something to say something.
Yeah, I hope not.
Yeah, and we'll find out over time. But my interactions with him and what I think I've heard from him over the last, when he was disappointed with the defense, he sure let us know. Right? So I don't think he's going to sugarcoat it. And I don't think he needs to sell it to anybody because no matter what, it's going to have to happen on the field.
Right. And, I've had past coaching staffs, I don't even mean Jimbo, but they'll tell you things, and then it just turns out to be not true.
Sure.
And you're wondering, was he lying to us or was he just delusional about his own team? So I think you do need to be, look, if you don't want to, if there's something you're afraid that you're going to give away, then don't say anything. But don't be, I can remember Sumlin talk about this one linebacker and how great he was going to be and all this. And
he wasn't.
He just wasn't. And he lasted a year.
Yeah, look, we know this about Coach Elko. excellent defensive coach.
Yes.
Seems to be excellent with creating a culture and accountability.
Seems to be.
Right? So we know those things about him. And one thing that I think we can for sure say is he's going to work on these deficiencies. He said it, right?
Mm-hmm.
So the question is, what about development, right? So that's the one question, and we've seen development on defense, but from a team, when he's the main guy, how much development do we see? Because we saw some flashes. I don't know why I hit you. We saw some flashes from Cassius Howell. Does he develop into this guy that I think we all see him becoming? Does DJ Hicks, after a whole year of Tommy Moffitt and defensive line philosophies and teachings, and does he become the guy that we've envisioned? It is about development, and if those guys have development, that's a testament to the coaching staff.
Yeah, if they take the next step, is what you're taking, to go from being a good player to being a dominant one, then, yeah, and I think a lot of that, we're going to find out about that development process this year. But if they do, then, A&M's going to have a really strong year, because I do think the key to this year is the development of Marcel Reed and the improvement on, or lack thereof, on defense.
So you said something that we're going to touch on later on in the show, the next step. What does the next step look like? You've already kind of given an answer. We're going to kind of go deeper into that here shortly. Let's do one more from Coach Elko before we go around the room and say hi to the folks. He did talk about Terry Bussey. I don't have the exact quote here, but he does say that he's going to keep an eye on what Bussey can do on the defensive end in the future. But for right now, he expects to see Bussey at wide receiver. He's not going to be a two-way player this year. But the fact that I think he's going to pay attention to it shows what we've all known about Terry Bussey. You can put him almost anywhere.
Yeah, I think, obviously they wanted him to play corner. As we saw when he showed up here last year in August camp wearing the white jersey. Mm-hmm. And then, of course, there's some injuries. Next thing you know, he's in the maroon jersey, right? I think Terry Bussey, we've talked about it before, he's the X factor.
Could be the X factor, yeah.
Because if he does become that legitimate deep threat,
if he's an Ananias type of threat,
yeah, that's the last piece to that offense, is having a wideout that can go deep.
It's interesting when people talk about the A&M offense, they do forget that A&M led the SEC in scoring in SEC games. Right? And I know, you don't have to remind me. I know what happened the last regular season game of the year. Right? I recognize that. No offensive touchdowns. Cool. But the stats are the stats against SEC teams.
Yeah, they ran up and down the field on LSU in the second half. They ran up and down the field on Missouri.
Auburn.
They got off to a slow start, but then now they were helped by a couple of overtimes. But they put up huge numbers.
Yeah, they did. All right, if you want to be a part of the conversation this morning, you can do it by calling us up on the Buppy's Catering and Bartending Hotline. That number is 979-693-1150. I haven't told the people, this is TexAgs Live. We're presented by David Gardner's Jewelers. We're in the Rollo Insurance Studio, and it is the Go Hour presented by The Warehouse at CC Creations. We go around the room, left to right, through the glass is Nick Savage, and we say hello to Mr. Nick. Nick, good morning, buddy.
Howdy, good morning, y'all.
What's up?
Well, something I'd be interested to see in Terry Bussey's game this coming season is his return special teams, right? And I remember Billy talking about this a few weeks ago, and he's going to be interested in watching the special teams growth. But I want to see him take a step in the return game, right? Last year he was a pretty steady hand, right? I don't remember any trouble fielding punts or kickoffs or anything like that. But also I can only remember maybe one or two, big returns. So I'd like to see maybe a step in that direction. I think, man, Terry Bussey, like you mentioned, a lot more like an Ananias type player if he makes that step.
Get him the ball in space. Right? There's a couple guys on this roster that if you get them the ball in space, even short yard passing, over the top, Mario Craver, right? Get them the ball in space.
Yeah, and that's what every coach tries to do. Mm-hmm. Find the Bob Petrino thing. Feed the studs. Find the guys that can do good things with the ball and try to figure out ways to get them in space. Scheme it, even though scheme doesn't matter.
Scheme don't matter.
Scheme it. Ways to set up one-on-one matchups.
Other coaches have alluded to that exact line, OB. I mean, obviously scheme matters. If not, there wouldn't be scheme. But others have said, can you line up and run the play the right way, right? You can know that I'm running it up the middle, but can you stop me running it up the middle?
Well, yeah, I mean, look, everybody wants to be able to run the ball consistently effectively. Everybody wants to do that because if you can do that, everything else becomes wide open. And then if you know that you're just more masculine than your opponent, and you can knock him off the ball and move the ball downfield, you can't be stopped that way.
Right.
But not everybody can do that. And if you want to be a big play, big strike offense, then you have to be able to scheme things and get good matchups. I thought, back in 2021, despite all the early disappointment, one of the things they did so well was they were able to often match up Devon Achane as running back on linebackers.
Yep.
And I remember he had a big catch against Alabama, big key catch. And I remember a touchdown against, this might have been 2020, maybe 2021, at South Carolina, where you figure out ways to get the matchup that you like, and you feel like my guy, I've got you in one-on-one, and my guy is better than your guy.
Yeah, absolutely. Let's go right now to the Angry Elephant News and Social Center. Reese Nygren, hello, sir.
Good morning. How are y'all?
Good.
You really want an answer?
Sure.
I'm fine. It's a day.
I'm pretty good too.
I didn't ask.
Okay.
How are you, by the way?
I am pretty good.
Thank you.
So last night, former Texas A&M pitcher Brandon Garcia made his major league debut for the Seattle Mariners, throwing 1 inning, allowing 2 runs on 4 hits. Garcia pitched for the Aggies in 2023, going 3-3 with a 5.56 ERA across 27 games. Garcia is one of 5 Aggies currently active in the MLB.
All right. Congratulations. I saw that all over Twitter yesterday. You got one more for us?
Yeah. Former Texas A&M pitcher and recent second-round draft pick to the Kansas City Royals, Justin Lampkin, signed his first major league contract on Monday afternoon, worth $1.16 million, which is the exact slot value for those of you wondering. Lampkin pitched for the Aggies from 2023 to 2025, where he posted a 4.69 ERA across 209 and a third innings with 260 strikeouts.
Reese, appreciate you, buddy. Thanks very much. OB, I'm going to look into the future.
Okay.
All right? Kind of like a Marvel thing, right? I guess I'd look back.
You're a soothsayer.
Well, yeah. And I'm going to picture what you're going to be doing on Friday afternoon. I see you eating nothing but meat with a guy who looks at eyes.
I was going to, but he's going to be out of town for a wedding, I just found out.
Oh, so I didn't look into the future at all. I was just regurgitating information you gave me.
Well, we haven't talked since.
That was like 9 minutes ago.
The thing is, look.
1775.
1775, my friend, our friend, the friend of all of TexAgs, IDOC Mike. My son was having some eye issues. He was in Vegas. IDOC Mike talked to him, set up a prescription, and he got what he needed to feel better. So, hey, when someone does you a favor, what better way to return that favor than taking them to 1775? Yeah. That's what I intended to do, and I will do eventually.
Sure, he saved Quinn's eyes. Right. Sure, I guess that's cool. But he actually owes you now, because 1775 is that big of a deal.
It's that big of a deal. But again, if you need to thank somebody, reward somebody, try to butter somebody up, no better way to do it than taking them to 1775 for that succulent brisket or those amazing pork ribs or that, I love that jalapeno cheese sausage and that queso mac and cheese. If they're like Nuño watching the weight, that turkey is amazing. 1775.
I'm picturing Kramer, at the Kenny Rogers Chicken when he's picturing people as is Kramer who's picturing people looking at like chicken, right? No, it's the mailman.
Oh, Newman.
Newman, yeah. Newman. Anyway, we like 1775 to go random. 1775txbbq.com is the website. Call them up, 979-492-6241. It is TexAgs Live. We are presented by David Gardner's Jewelers, Rollo Insurance Studio. The Go Hour presented by The Warehouse at CC Creations. Let's go to the Angry Elephant News and Social Center. Reese Nygren, I know some messages have been popping on the YouTube page and the text line.
Yeah, we had somebody text in talking about Terry Bussey with a Martellus Bennett quote saying, "Throw me the ball, coach." And then Trey and Shiner said, "I trust Elko. He's not a trash talker. I believe that in his second year, we will see vast improvement in all phases of the game, hoping for 10-2, but realistically 9-3.
I think all of us, when we do our projections, allow history of past programs and coaches at Texas A&M to not allow us sometimes to just evaluate this team based on what we have on this team.
Well, I think they do that for a lot of teams.
Yeah, oh yeah, absolutely.
Unfortunately, when you do it for A&M, the history, it makes you, if you think they can go 9-3, it makes you say 8-4.
Right.
Whereas at LSU, if you think they're going to go 8-4, you'll say 9-3. Oh, they'll find a way. You know.
Yeah.
Really, if you break down Georgia, why are you going to feel great about Georgia this year?
Because history. Because
it's not Gunnar Stockton.
Head coach reputation. But you know what?
They felt their receivers. They felt like they had to get better, so they went out and got Noah Thomas and Branch from USC. They haven't had a 1,000-yard running back, I heard, since like 2019.
It's been a minute. We're going to have Brooks Austin on the show a little bit later on, and I'm trying to find the tweet he had. But he basically said that Noah Thomas at times was unguardable last year. He breaks down film and watches games. He goes, I found it. I haven't studied every Texas A&M game from last year, but every game I have studied has spurts where Noah Thomas is unguardable and completely takes over the game.
Okay, he had a really nice play against Arkansas. Remember, he broke a tackle and turned it into about a 45, 50-yard touchdown. I don't want to ever sound like I'm disrespecting Noah. I wish Noah was still here and he's better, and that A&M would be better for it. But I wonder what game he's talking about, what opponent he's talking about.
I'm going to have him on the show. I'm going to ask him about that. But
I'm going to
go ahead.
I'm going to have to look up Noah's game by game because I thought Noah was a good receiver, a good player. I wish he was still here. He had that 6-catch, 109 yards against Arkansas I talked about.
Yep.
Against Auburn, he had a really nice play for a long touchdown. Remember that one? They were down. And in that game, he had 124 yards receiving. He had 2 100-yard games last year, Arkansas and Auburn. So those must have been the 2 games he was watching. 1 catch for 10 yards against Notre Dame. 1 catch for 2 yards against Florida. 5 catches, 38 yards against Bowling Green. 3 for 65 against Missouri. Now LSU 1 for 54. Remember that one? Right after LSU had scored, and it was 1 or 2 passes that Marcel completed. You know who the other one was to?
Let me think for a moment. The other pass he completed to, was it to, who was it?
Le'Veon Moss.
Oh, it was to Le'Veon.
Just looped it over the pass rush. Okay, so 1 for 54 against LSU, 2 for 24 against South Carolina, 2 for 23 against New Mexico State. I told you about South Carolina and Auburn. I mean, about Auburn. 3 for 31 against Texas, 5 for 29 against USC. 2 touchdowns in that game, but also dropped 1. So he had, well, they played 13 games last year.
Yes, sir.
10 of them, he had less than, 8 of them, he had less than, well, maybe it is 10. 1, 2. Had less than 60 yards receiving in 10 of the 13 games. And again, I'm not trying to disparage Noah. He's a good player. I wish he was still at A&M. He's not a number 1. So, I mean.
But this all came from, we talk about reputations and history and how we look at things. But, remember the conversation around Stetson Bennett a couple years back? How are they going to win with this guy at quarterback? And he ended up being, in the second championship run, not the reason, but a reason that they won.
Yeah, another example. If you're a competent quarterback and you put a lot of good people around them, you can have great success.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't think Stetson's an NFL caliber quarterback, right? But he had NFL talent all around him. Greg McElroy, Jacob Coker.
Yeah.
You know, put good talent around somebody and they can be really good. And look, Noah Thomas is a good receiver. I don't think he's a great one. So, is he capable of making big plays? Absolutely. I'm not saying that.
Well, I think my point, though, was that, like, we cannot always allow history to, because Noah might be a success at Georgia.
Oh, he's a
Georgia, a huge success, sorry.
Okay.
Georgia Gunnar Stockton may end up being the truth. Texas, Marcel Reed may end up being one of the top 3 quarterbacks in the SEC. I'm not going to allow history for what has happened through my lifetime to. Actually, I do allow it. Let me rephrase that. I do allow history, but I shouldn't allow history to affect the here and now with a completely different roster.
Yeah, I mean, it's true. I was on the way to work today. I was listening to some guys talking about Missouri, and they're saying, Missouri, they always win 10 games every year. And how could Missouri be ranked 12th in the SEC by the media after 2 years ago they beat Ohio State in the bowl game, and last year they won 10 games? You know, say, well, because Luther Burden and Theo Weiss and what was his name, Brady Cook.
Yeah.
Brady Cook aren't on the team. That guy, I don't know his name, but he was the first round pick at left tackle. Those guys aren't on the team anymore. And, you know, when it was Alabama rolling and Georgia rolling, you would see them lose a whole lot of big name players. And you say, no big deal. They recruit so well, the next guy's going to step in. And largely that was the case. But I don't know that we feel the same way about Missouri.
Let's do 25 and 25,
okay,
shall we? We'll do that on the other side. Right now, a moment for Caldwell Country Chevrolet, Highway 21 in Caldwell. Online, CaldwellCountryChevrolet.com. If you're a business owner and you're ready to take your operation to the next level, you need to listen up and let Caldwell Country Chevrolet take care of you. They've expanded their selection of commercial vehicles to meet your everyday need. They have service body trucks. They've got flatbeds. They've got medium-duty trucks. And they've got all the trucks that can handle those tough jobs. And they've got the muscle for your business demands. As a newly designated business elite dealer, which means they understand what it takes to keep your company moving forward. And because they believe in supporting local business, they want you to know anytime you buy a vehicle from them, they're going to take great care of you with their customer service, from their complimentary oil change, and also they will pick you up and take you back. Remember, it's about a 15-minute drive, the edge of Bryan to the beginnings of Caldwell. Short conversation away, but you'll see the difference when you step on the lot and do business with the great people at Caldwell Country Chevrolet. Highway 21 in Caldwell, online, CaldwellCountryChevrolet.com. Hey everyone, David Nuño and Olin Buchanan and OB. Typically we start off the show in this section, and we call it the Holistic Planning Cool
The cool zone, yeah. It's pretty cool.
What do we know about holistic planning?
Well, a lot of cool stuff. For instance, holistic planning can help you with your investments.
I love that.
They can help you with your taxes. So
I don't like paying taxes.
You can get that money from your investments and then keep it. They'll help you keep it away from the government.
Yep.
Not all of it, but more of it. And then they'll even help you with your estate planning. When you're old like me, you got to make sure some of that money you made is there for when you want to retire and just enjoy the rest of your life.
You want your estate to be planned. But they also do something else.
Yeah, well, if you are, like, say, a sports fan, and you've always wanted to...
Everybody watching us, right?
Yeah. And you want to always dream of being an owner, well, in a certain way you can, because they will broker the deal for you to invest in pro sports.
Yeah, what you need to do is check out investinprosports.com. That's where you can get all the information if you want to invest in a team. I don't know what team. He'd probably try to buy the Cowboys. I'd try to buy a lot of the Houston teams. Whatever it may be, investinprosports.com. It is holistic planning, and we love hanging out at the Holistic Planning Cool Zone. TexAgs Live, presented by David Gardner's Jewelers Rollo Insurance Studio. The Go Hour, presented by the Warehouse at CC Creations. It is time for 25 and 25, presented by La Casa Tequila, raised in Aggie land, rooted in the SEC. Number 24, Amari Nyblack, the tight end. So back-to-back days of tight ends, OB.
Okay.
Now, if you just look at his 2024 stats, you're going to be like, yeah, no. But if you look at what he did at Alabama, combine those with what he did at Texas, you have a little bit better of a reflection. Played in 9 games last year, 5 catches, 33 yards. Per PFF, he was, 44.4 offensive grade. But in 23, played in 14 games, including 4 starts, 20 catches, 327 yards, 4 touchdowns.
Yeah, that's nice.
6'4", 245.
Yeah, I think putting Amari Nyblack there is, I think that's more on potential than production. The production at Alabama in 23 was good, especially for a tight end. I would, if he's the 24th best player on A&M, I would think those numbers are that he's going to exceed the numbers he had at Alabama that year.
Well, Billy has mentioned that, yeah, he'll be a tight end, but maybe more of a wide receiver role, right?
He's that kind of guy that can flex out and is that athletic.
We talked about Noah Thomas in the last segment, and he could be potentially, he along with maybe Jerome Miles, could be potentially that Noah Thomas target, that big guy that you can get the ball to.
Yeah, like I said, it's put him there as based, on the potential of what he could be, and hopefully he will be.
Scored a touchdown against Texas in Alabama's 34-24 loss during the 2023 season. So he did score against the team that he eventually ended up. He did have his most production under Holman Wiggins, who recruited him at Alabama. So
and that's encouraging.
That is. Coach Oko's called him a hybrid player that adds an awful lot of value in the receiving game.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, when you have one of those, and I'm thinking of Kyle Pitts when he was at Florida, and go all the way back to Jermaine Gresham at Oklahoma. If you remember those, if you have that, the tight end always can make up some mismatches,
Yeah.
But when you've got one that's really athletic, then the mismatch is even greater, and the potential for big plays obviously is enhanced. Amari Nyblack has the size, and I hear he has the speed and all those things. So yeah, maybe this is the guy that they're going to be able to use in that hybrid situation that can put up some Sternberger-like numbers.
Let's hope so, especially with Con Klein using the 12 personnel. You could see him, especially in the red zone, being a target for Marcel Reed.
Yeah. Well, I will, if it helps them score more touchdowns in the red zone, then, much applause.
Am I seeing this correct? Reese, look this up, but the tight ends last year combined for 34 catches, 3 touchdowns. I'm seeing the stat here on my page.
Well, let's see. Theo, I know, had 2, and then Trey Watson had 1 against Arkansas.
Yeah.
A real nice play, I think you'll remember.
I really liked Trey Watson.
I did too. He's a good blocker. And, I think that's the thing that I'm most concerned about, the tight end position. Is that guy going to be a good blocker? I remember watching Trey Watson on the first touchdown that Marcel scored, the 8-yard run against LSU, where he just buries a guy. I think it was the same guy that got hit by number 9 last year. Good receiver, not great, but the tough guy.
Ja'Day Walker.
Ja'Day Walker. I think it was the same guy Ja'Day Walker got the penalty on, but that Trey Watson just drove him into the end zone and planted him. So he's a good blocker.
By the way, we also have to consider the fact that, he didn't play much at Texas, but they had Gunnar Helm, who's one of the top tight ends in college football, who was drafted in the 4th round. I think I have his numbers here. Last year, they threw to Gunnar Helm a lot. Good inspiration. Yeah. Was that, let's see, he broke the record for the position group, catching 60 passes for 786 yards and 7 touchdowns in his time at Texas.
So, Nyblack, I wonder, I see that he was 7 games he didn't play. Was there some injury issues, or, it was just Helm so good? I don't know. I have to admit, I do not know if he had any injury issues or if just him was their guy, and so nobody else was going to get an opportunity or was going to get limited opportunities.
I think their other tight end got drafted as well, Jatavian Sanders.
So Nye Black is better than the guy he was at Texas. I have no doubt about that. And hopefully he'll be better than he was at Alabama.
If he is an upgrade to Trey Watson, then they hit because I think Trey Watson was really good. He was quality.
Yeah, I mean, he was a good player. He wasn't a great player by any means, and you can get better. You can be better at tight end than Trey Watson, but he was a good, productive player.
Yeah, he's a guy that if he ends up being in the top 25 of A&M's roster, that offense is going to have. I mean, hopefully you got some others on that offense that are in there, right? Like with Traver and Casey Concepcion and Le'Veon and Reuben Owens. But if he can be in that mix, then that offense is going to be cooking.
Well, like I was saying earlier, if he's a top 25 player, if he really is one of the top 25 players on the team, then I'm betting then that he's going to exceed the numbers he put up at Alabama in 2023, which was 20 catches for 327 yards and 4 touchdowns. If he improves on that, then I think that goes a long way for A&M being an improved team.
You do some research for us, Reese?
Between Trey Watson and Theo, they had 31 catches for 464 yards and 4 touchdowns.
Maybe Calhoun caught a pass. I don't know.
He did. Yeah, he did. All right, let's do this. Let's hit a break. We'll hit an early-ish break, if you will. We'll come back with something you said in the first segment.
Oh.
Take the next step.
Oh, the next step.
What does the next step look like? Okay, and I'm not talking about a win total, although win totals are all about the next step. I recognize that. But I'm talking about what things have to look like for that next step. We'll do that on the other side. We're talking Aggieland hydration and injectables. If you were at the Troubadour Festival a couple weeks back, actually, it's been over a month now, you got to see Aggieland hydration and injectables take care of people. They're an IV hydration company that was started not too long ago, 2024. Sheldon and Danny started that idea because they wanted to bring this to the Brazos Valley. And if you're looking for a quick boost of hydration or dehydration preventative, they can tailor an IV cocktail specific to your needs. So if you're busy on the weekends, you got to take your kids here and you're outside, or if you're at a party or at a concert and you're just getting run down, let them take amazing care of you. They want to make sure that they take care of your hydration, your dehydration preventative, and that IV cocktail for you. To book an appointment or inquire about their services before an event, call them up, 979-217-1561. That's 979-217-1561, or check out Aggieland Hydration and Injectables. step? What's the next step?
Duran.
That's the next step for
Yeah,
you?
the next step is you gotta approach this season like you're hungry like the wolf.
Who's your favorite Duran member?
The only one I ever heard was the front guy, Simon something.
Yeah, what was his name?
Simon
LeBond.
Okay.
Am I right?
Yeah, it
Or am I
sounds
making
right.
that up?
Simon.
Google that. Simon LeBond. I'm pretty sure.
So
I liked Duran the best out of all of them.
yeah, I liked Roberto Duran.
Yeah. No mas.
No mas. He could hit hard. The next step is
Because I don't want it to think about, like, obviously wins. You win 9 games, 10 games. That's obviously a next step.
okay.
We know that. That's simplifying the answer. I'm talking about what does that look like? You see what I'm saying?
Yeah, it's a team that consistently look. There's going to be big plays you're going to give up here and there. You're going to miss some opportunities. Consistently takes advantage of its opportunities. That minimizes its mistakes because there were those. I think you close the halves better.
Mm-hmm. Can I give you one?
Yeah.
You score in big games.
Score in big games.
Because look at if you bookend the season last year.
Yeah. I know.
Very little offense against Notre Dame, no offense against Texas. 2 teams that went very far. We know that. Okay? But you've got to be able to and also, I'll say to that, not only score in big games, not play catch up in games.
Well, that's true too. How about some of the obvious ones are you convert 4th and 1 or you punt. I mean,
well, Coach Elko has said 4th and 1, we're going for it, right? Like that's now 4th and 3 changes the equation, but 4th and 1, we're going to line up and go.
Yeah. Okay. That's a great idea as long as you make it, especially if you're on your own side of the field.
To me, it's a case by case basis,
Yeah,
right? Like
it is.
if I'm taking on New Mexico State, I'm running for it on 4th and 1. Hopefully, you don't have to, right? If I'm taking on the University of Texas, how much success have I had running on them all game long?
Right. Especially early. Sometimes early it's best to go ahead and take the field goal or punt. But okay. I think going on the road and beating a good team.
Yeah, a ranked team.
Yeah. Those are,
If you beat Notre Dame to start the year on the road, big if, that is a step in the right direction.
Don't give up so many big plays. I think last year A&M gave up 60 plays of 20 yards or more. Only 2 other teams gave up more, and I think they were Vanderbilt and Florida.
You're saying in the SEC?
In the SEC.
Gotcha.
Only 2 teams in the SEC gave up more big plays of 20 yards or more. I think that's what they call explosive plays, 20 yards or more.
Yeah.
Even different programs have their different definitions of explosive plays, but I think generally at 20. So 60 explosive plays you gave up. Maybe you can knock that down by a third.
Yeah.
I mean, you're going to give up big plays. I understand that. You're going to have moments where you're going to make, a penalty at a bad time. I loved the fight and the determination and the athleticism that Shamar Turner played with. But I think you're going to have fewer penalties that are devastating because he's not there.
Here's a step in the right.
Either that or don't allow him to at least make the play down the field. How about just making, I've said this before, A&M has a way of being the get well team. Like if you don't run the ball well, suddenly you run it well against A&M. If you're struggling to pass, look, the South Carolina had given up some of their sack total going into the A&M game was one of the worst in the country. A&M doesn't get him. It goes to your point. If you get a chance to get him, he'd been sacked a lot.
Just A&M was not able
but
to.
But A&M just couldn't do it.
Yeah.
Peyton Thorne looks like Peyton Manning against the Aggies.
Yeah.
So how about, getting to being that team that at the very least, you don't allow teams to get better against you.
Here's another way for them to look better, right? Is all those areas that Coach Elko identified that they need to improve on, you improve on them.
Yeah, I think that's the base. That's what it is right there. You look at that where A&M had trouble last year, or they weren't.
Pass rush.
The pass rush is interesting, and that's one of the reasons why. What was I say? I've been talking about this to others. And they always bring up, the Aggies lost these 3 defensive linemen. They were all drafted. I'm like, yeah, but what about the production there? Yeah, they were excellent in the second half against LSU and against Arkansas and against Missouri, but what about the rest of the year? Remember Auburn? If you didn't see Nick Scorton out there, you wouldn't know he played because he didn't even get a tackle, didn't even assist on a tackle in that game.
I wonder what happened at the end of the year, because it wasn't that they were great early on, but there was a stretch in the season early on where we're like halfway through, you're like, all right, they're putting pressure. And I remember for a long time it was hard to run on A&M's defense last year, and then it wasn't.
Well, I mean, against Notre Dame, it wasn't hard to run on them. There's two of those 60-yard plays.
Yeah, that's true.
Or 20-yard play. Anyway, I think it really basically comes down to identifying the areas in which you lacked, in which you struggled, and bolster them. And that's, we heard Elko talking about it. Hey, learn to play zone defense. That's that's what getting better looks like, or whatever. Take the next step. Learn to play zone defense.
Yes, and a text came in. Kay told us during the break. Jimbo Fisher joining the ACC network for ESPN as an analyst. Well,
He's going to have a lot to say, and he can say it. He doesn't need a lot of time to say a lot.
No, he could say a lot. And John in Cyprus sends in, fun fact, Duran, John, bass, Andy, guitar, and Roger, drums, all last name Taylor. But guess what? They're not related.
So they had 3 guys named Taylor?
Apparently John Taylor, Andy Taylor, and Roger Taylor.
They should have been called Taylor, not Duran.
Where did that name come? Find that, research that. Do you even know who Duran is? You don't know?
Congratulations.
Have you ever blamed it on Rio?
I respect you.
You've never blamed it on Rio?
No.
Are you hungry
that
like
was
a wolf?
A movie. That wasn't the song.
Wasn't it a song?
It was, her name is Rio, or just Rio.
Oh, you're right. Oh, Billy's going to give me that one back. All right, it's TexAgs Live. Thanks, Obi.
Bye.
As a reminder, the final segment of the program is brought to you by Double Dave's. That's at 10:50. But right now, caller number 12, 979-693-1150. We'll hook you up with your choice of a dozen pepperoni rolls or a large one-topping pizza from Double Dave's. They've been serving Aggie Land since 1984 with your favorite pizza and, of course, those world-famous pepperoni rolls, reliable in-house delivery, bringing piping hot goodness straight to your door. Just click on doubledaves.com, and your favorites are on their way. All right, let's go to the Angry Elephant News and Social Center. Reese, you did research on why Duran Duran is called Duran Duran. There's nobody in the band named Duran, right?
Nope. There's nobody in the band named Duran. The name is derived from Dr. Duran Duran, a character in the 1968 science fiction film Barbarella. Never seen it.
Yeah, I haven't either. I think OB was in college when that came out, and yeah. But by the way, TexAgs preseason kickoff is this weekend. It's open to all premium and varsity subscribers. The registration link is in Billy's forum. What you need to do is go there this weekend, July 26th at the MSC. We're going to hear from several of the head coaches and from Texas A&M, as well as athletes in attendance. If you'd like to sponsor a table at the event or donate an auction item, please email sponsors@texags.com and come kick off the 2025 season with us. So I do know we're going to have a roundtable discussion, and I believe Coach Weaver, Coach Henry, Coach Morrison, and there's one more. They're all joining me for the roundtable discussion. So, Coach Henry says he thinks he's coming. So we'll have a couple of national championship head coaches there, and we'll have a couple of others. So let's go right now to the Buppy's Catering and Bartending Hotline, and we are joined by our friend Josh Pate, who is on the program, thanks to our good friends at Academy Sports and Outdoors, and of course the Jordan brand that you can get at Academy Sports and Outdoors. Josh is at Big Ten Media Days that starts today. Josh, good morning, buddy.
Yeah, you know what that means, David. That means we're in Vegas, which means we get bottle service for breakfast, which for guys like you and I just means really expensive water.
Right.
But I do have it. So for the record, we do have it this morning.
I wish I liked Vegas. I don't hate Vegas. It's not my town. Like, it's not my kind of town, I should say. But I wish it was, because I know that's what the cool kids do.
Well, I mean, look, who's ever misconstrued us as being the cool kids? I have been quoted no less than 4 times already, and I just got in last night, as saying, I wish they kept this thing in Indianapolis. And everyone's looking at me saying, well, what are you talking about? Well, what are you talking about? Are we here to do media days, or are we here to vacation? Now, if we're here to vacation, that's fine. But as far as I can tell, we're just working all day anyway. And there's like a 12-minute walk to the convention center. These are first world problems. I digress. But I actually like it when it's in Indianapolis.
I like Indy as a town. All right, so Big Ten storylines. What's the big thing you're chasing with Big Ten teams?
Kind of the same as the SEC in a sense that, you've got a top dog. Most books, I guess, would say Ohio State, maybe Penn State up there, but Ohio State just won the national title. And so I look at them, and you could say the same thing about Georgia or Texas or Alabama in the SEC. Are we just 100% sure that you're going to get high-level quarterback play? And if you are, then okay, they'll be right there at the end as a player for the national title. But let's say we rubbed the magic 8 ball and we found out with any of those teams, but Ohio State in particular, they were going to get, average quarterback play, sporadic quarterback play this year. Is the collective of the rest of the team enough to lift them up? And then the follow-up to that, or I guess the train card that's attached to that is, even if they do get good quarterback plays, Penn State really the kind of team that's ready to, get over the hump, as they say? Because I've watched them for several years. I've thought the conversation around Franklin, around Penn State's always been stupid, because everyone has waited for them to do the one thing they haven't been able to do, which is beat a couple of the big boys in the Big Ten and, win the whole thing. They've done everything else. They win almost every other game. So then, after you try, people say, oh, you're overrated. No, you're not overrated. You're rated right behind the people you can't beat and the teams you can't beat. That's exactly where you should be rated. So it is my belief they've got the best shot to do that this year of any team he's had since the mid-2010s when he first took over. That, of course, as you know, brings with it a lot of competitive pressure, not job security pressure, but it's the kind of pressure where, if not now, when? And I think that's a totally fair way to look at this team. That's a totally fair way to look at Penn State. And then also, I think I buried the lead here. The biggest question for the Big Ten, and has been for a few years, is are you going to find a way as a conference to have a really, really solid, competitive second tier of your league? Because the SEC's got that very deep. They had it last year. And what was a down year for the conference, they still had that. Will the Big Ten get that? Matt Rule at Nebraska's got to have a lot to say about that. Jonathan Smith at Michigan State's got to have a lot to say about that. Dude, who else? I mean, there is Iowa, Wisconsin, like Minnesota. They have to be, for them, what maybe an Ole Miss or a South Carolina or a Tennessee has been in the SEC, and they just haven't been. Now, the benefit for the Big Ten, David, is that means the big boys elevate because they detach themselves from the pack. That's been the way it has been for several years. The downside is if you're watching the Big Ten slate on Saturday, once you get past the first game most of the time, and especially past the second game most of the time, we're just watching Rutgers, Maryland. Like it's not there's not a whole lot to really draw your eyes in, which is crazy because it's like definitively 1A, 1B, the power conferences in college football.
Josh, am I right here? Other than Memphis getting denied yesterday by the Big 12, is this the first offseason in a couple of years that by now we haven't heard more musical chairs of this conference trying to poach this team or whatever? Like, I feel like it's right around now we've heard about, the Texas-Oklahoma thing in 21. You had the Big Ten expansion with the Pac-12 team. But I feel like there's been kind of nothing this offseason.
Yeah, it just shows you the same few people are always involved in that sort of thing. And those same few people, I don't know if people have noticed, but they've been distracted by other matters right now, trying to figure out the playoff, trying to figure out how to fool people into thinking something's in their best interest when in reality it just deepens their pockets a little bit. Yeah. I'm all for people making money. Don't think I'm not. But I'm much more for the greater good of college football than any one individual making money. I just think it's as simple as that, David. I think it's as simple as the hands that are normally on that wheel, so to speak, have just been a little distracted. They've been looking out the windshield at something else off in the field over here. And don't you worry. Once they get that can kicked wherever it's going down the road, they'll get their eyes back on the ultimate prize.
All right, so let me ask you about that. I know that you like the smaller playoff system, right? So
yes.
Drink talked about the 30 last week at SEC Media Days. What about super big playoffs as opposed to semi-big playoffs?
Well, of course, I hate that. I did talk to him at length about this privately. He said, yeah, people miss my main point because they got caught up on 30. Like, I shouldn't have even said 30. My main point was we got to get the committee as far removed from just selecting the teams as possible. He wants a model, whatever the size is, where everything's decided on the field, like everyone plays their way into the playoff. Now, you could go the bad faith semantics route and say, well, everybody's always played their way in. You got to play your way into the eyes of the committee, and then they'll select you. Well, go sit in the corner for a second if that's how you feel. Respectfully, I agree with Eli Drinkwitz. I didn't ever want the thing to expand, but as you know, that ship has sailed. If we're expanding the thing, if we're going to 14 or 16, like I told him the other day, I don't want 16. I want 14 if we expand, and I want the full AQ format. And the AQ format used to be like satanic to me. I didn't even want to mention it. I didn't want its mentioned to be in the same room as me, but that's when the field was small, David. The field's too big now. And so to me, there's no way that you can just go best teams, just straight seeding, or the 5+11 and maintain any kind of value on regular season games. And I'll give you a hypothetical in a second. But what Drink said, and what he and I talked about afterwards, and what we both agree on is, like, if you go 14 teams and it's 4-4-2-2-1-1, I think is the AQ structure. Everybody got so caught up on, that guarantees the SEC something. That guarantees the Big Ten. Yeah, it does. It sure does. They're going to get them anyway. But my question is, which teams does it guarantee anything to? Because the answer is none. The only ones, even at the end of November, who are guaranteed playoff spots are the number 1 and 2 in those conferences because they're playing in the conference title game. Those are the teams that you give your number 1 and 2 seats to. But outside of that, it's 6 versus 3 and 4 versus 5 on play-in Saturday. Like, the number 3 seed in the SEC could be cooked before they ever make the playoff. on play-in Saturday. Likewise, the number 6 team in the SEC or the Big Ten theoretically is alive, but they got to go on the road and win a game. Anyway, people listen to that and say, "Oh, no, you can't go into the season knowing who's going to get how many teams." I get it. I used to feel that way in a smaller playoff era. So here's the alternative. My thing I care about is the regular season, first and foremost. That's where I care more so than anything. So all my motivation's on that. So if you're for the other model, I'm going to give you 8-1 Tennessee. I think I did this exercise with you, but I'll do it again. 8-1 Tennessee. It's the first week in November, okay? Let's just pretend, fast forward. Tennessee's 8-1 in November. If we're taking the 5+11 format, or we were just taking top 16, whatever, 8-1 Tennessee by the first week in November knows they can lose 2 of their final 3 games and they're in the playoff. What does that do for the urgency of November? Like, what can you imagine saying, all right, look, we want to win them, but we've bought ourselves some cushion here. We can lose 2 of the final 3 and we'll be in. How stupid is that? We just watched Ohio State lose to Michigan, and while it was gut-wrenching for them, as the outside observer, we watched it and said, "What, you're telling me they went and won the national title anyway? Well, what did the rivalry loss really mean? Outside of those fans, what did that really mean? Should I have even been on the edge of my seat watching it like I was?" So I agree with Drinkwitz. Just erase the 30-team thing. I agree with the rest of what he said.
Josh, that's interesting because when you're saying that, I can't help but think about A&M in that perspective, that after the Auburn game, we all thought the season was over. And then you're like, oh, by the way, because Alabama lost, if you beat Texas, you're in the SEC championship game, which would have been awesome, right? Or had you beat Auburn, you would have been in the SEC championship game regardless of the Texas game. I do think it's interesting when you have a safety net like that, regardless if it's playoffs or SEC championship games. As a fan, it was like, all right, we still got a second life, but I understand your point about, like, you have that safety net so you can lose these games.
This is the ultimate, to me, this is the ultimate mechanism and the reason why the AQ model will never take root, or it probably won't take root. I'm looking at it holistically. I'm not even thinking about a team.
Right.
Here's the problem. 99.999% of people who are watching this or who are watching games on Saturday, they have a rooting interest. And so someone's going to watch a game and say, now hold on a second. If we have the AQ model here, like, yeah, we're about to suffer our 3rd loss, maybe even our 4th loss in certain tough strength of schedules. If we were just going the AQ route, we'd still be in the playoff. That means the AQ route is what's best for us. It's what's best for your very, very flawed team to still make a 15 or 16 seed in a 15 or 16 team playoff in that given year. Yeah. What did that do to college football? What did it do to the value, to the urgency of making someone understand there's something on the line with these regular season games? Now, if you don't care about the regular season, if you look at college football the same way you look at pro football or the NBA, that's okay. We just have different worldviews. I'm not talking to you. I'm talking to anyone who's listening, because there are people out there who come from the pro sports side of things and they're newer to college football, and they look at it and say, well, I mean, all due respect, who cares what it does to the regular season as long as the playoffs awesome? I do. I think I'm not alone, but I do. I care about the regular season more than the playoff. That's not going to make sense to anyone else because college football is unique unto any other sport when it comes to that.
Josh, I was that. I was the guy who came from the pro sports model because I worked in the leagues for most of my career. And I felt like the expansion of the playoffs was the way I wanted it to go. And I enjoyed last year, absolutely. But now I'm like revisionist history, like, you know what, though? I kind of like the charm of the 4 or just the 2. And so let me just throw this exercise. I'm sure you've done it before, but had last year been a 14 playoff, Ohio State doesn't win the national championship in that scenario, I don't believe. How does it play out?
I'm trying to think. Let me hit Ohio State first.
Okay.
People have said that in a different way than you just said it. You said it matter of fact, which is correct. I've heard a lot of people say, well, if you still had the 4-team playoff, Ohio State wouldn't have even been in it last year, and they think it's some gotcha moment. My reaction is, yeah, I know. That's called consequence of losing not just one regular season game, but losing as a 3-touchdown favorite at home to end the regular season. You could be the Kansas City Chiefs and have descended into college football. I know the Kansas City Chiefs would have the best team, have the best roster, have the most talent. If they lose, they haven't earned their way in to have a right to play for the title. So it wouldn't have bothered me at all if Ohio State was out of the thing. And I'm trying to remember, so Oregon would have been your 1 seed. Would Georgia have been your 2 seed?
I think Georgia, and I think Texas would be 3, right?
Yeah.
And
you would have had Big Ten. I think you would have had Big Ten and SEC, right? Would you just
Indiana.
Yeah. What? Ooh, man, would they have been up there? Who would have been number 4? Was Penn State that high?
Yeah, Penn State was that high. Yep.
Yeah. That would have been your 14 playoff. At which point I probably would have looked at it and said, kind of feels like we don't even need 4. Kind of feels like we just need 2 here.
Yeah.
But I digress. My feelings would not have been hurt whatsoever if Ohio State was out of it. And the other part of that, David, is Notre Dame played them in the national title game. Well, Notre Dame would have been out as well. What about that, Josh? Yeah, the team that lost to Northern Illinois at home as a 4-touchdown favorite would have been out as well. That's called consequence. That means when you watch those regular season games and that happens, it really is huge. It really is this like mushroom cloud. Can you believe what just happened? Bro, you got to turn over to NBC. It's fourth quarter. Are you watching what's happening? That vibe exists in college football because up until 5 minutes ago, everyone was playing every game on the edge of a cliff.
Right.
And it mattered for those fans, but it also mattered for the rest of us because that's tremendous sporting theater.
Let me give you the flip side of that. They lose to Northern Illinois. Then the rest of the regular season doesn't feel like it matters in that scenario, correct?
In this day and age, that's correct. But remember, we are very, very, very new on this frontier of meaningless bowl games. That just was not the case 15 years ago. So I do agree on this front that the toothpaste is out of the tube. You're not getting the value. You're not getting the romanticism of bowl season back. That will not happen. That's why even if you put me in charge today, as much as I enjoyed the previous era, I would not take us back to 4 teams. I would not take us back to 2 teams because I know the race used to be we want to make the playoff. We want to make the national title game. Okay, we've lost a couple of games, but you know what? We can still make it to Orlando for the Capital One Bowl. Like, we can still make a good bowl game. Well, that's not the way people think anymore. People do think strictly in terms of playoff or bust. Okay, that's why I'd either, keep it the size it is now, or I'm telling you, David, I'm very, very, very in the minority on this. I actually think that 14-team AQ model is better than what we have now. Even though it technically expands the field, it doesn't have any at-large spots. Every single spot has to be earned based off either you being in your conference title game or you winning play-in games. You just play the whole regular season to position yourself there. The field's big enough where collectively there will be a lot of teams in the hunt, but it's also exclusive enough that it doesn't feel totally watered down. But most importantly, it doesn't guarantee anyone anything. Until the very, very end of the line, no one knows whether they're going to be in the playoff definitively. So I think that's the reason I'm starting to hammer that drum. I'm out in Vegas. Tony Petitti's the commissioner of the Big Ten. He's the only commissioner pushing for that. So it sounds like he's not going to obviously get his way. The SEC probably won't get their way because of him. So it sounds like we're going to stick at 12. Like, it sounds like that's the betting favorite for a model right now. But I used to be so against the concept of AQs. I always used to say, why does anyone need to be guaranteed anything? With a playoff field this big, I have found reasons why it makes a lot more sense if you want to maintain what I love about the sport, at least.
Josh, I've probably done this with you before, so I apologize if I have. If I said, all right, Josh, you are the commissioner of college football, like I think you should be, right? Let's just say you are. And I say, but I want you to fix the bowl system. I have an idea that's terrible that would fix the bowl system, but nobody likes my idea. What would you do? And if you want, I can tell you what my idea is.
Does yours have to do with moving it to the start of the season?
Yeah, that's my terrible idea.
Yeah. I don't. Well, why is it terrible?
Because nobody likes it. Like anytime I bring it up, everybody hates it. Like, no, we're not doing that. But I'm like, instead of having this non-conference game to start the year, and these bowl games already have half the roster gone anyway, why not start it with your new roster and make it Labor Day weekend where there's potential travel, where you could potentially travel, and college football fans travel anyway?
Look, it takes a long time to wrap your head around that. It takes a long time to do it. I've done the exercise, so I'm not as opposed to it. It's not an automatic no from me.
Okay.
having said that, obviously I'm very much a traditionalist. So like I'm the last one to want to fundamentally alter anything about college football. Here's what I would do. Okay, if I had you in a room right now, and let's say Lucci was in there as well. And we know how rarely that happens. But let's say the three of us were in a room together. All right, you present your model. He says, no, 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 no. And I'm the independent arbiter. I'm the commissioner. I would put it on Lucci. I would say, all right, you need to tell me why it's an automatic no-go. And then what you got to do is you got to convince me that you have a model that fixes the current bowl situation. Because right now it's an afterthought. And I was the remaining holdout that didn't want to acknowledge reality. But even I have had to acknowledge, bowl season now is like a painful shell of what it used to be in terms of meaning. So I still watch the games because there's nothing else on. Well, am I going to watch a Hallmark movie or something? So yeah, I'll watch the Bahamas Bowl, but kind of just background noise. Like I don't really care. It doesn't feel like it has any meaning anymore. So you got to present to me a model that's going to fix it. Otherwise, at the very least, I have to give you your 5 minutes on the floor to present your argument. I just keep thinking to myself, how do you incentivize players to play in bowl games? Well, the answer is money. So what do? Do you share the revenue between the media partner and the presenting sponsor and the players? I always thought if you did that, you should guarantee 80% to the winning team, 20% to the losing team, where everybody knows they're going to get money, but it's like the old XFL rules. Like, you're going to get a lot more if you win. And then someone says, is that really what we want college football to be? Everyone just playing for money? And then someone else is going to say they always were. And then I'm going to say, yeah, but it's not quite apples to apples. And it's just circular logic of nothingness. So I am very open as the future commissioner of this sport to recommendations and suggestions for what to do with bowl season. But if we're expanding the playoff, David, at least if you did move bowl season off of its classical December, January placement, we do have a lot of playoff inventory to fill like those spots where it doesn't have to feel like desolate and, there's no football around Christmas time. Like there would be.
We could still get some football. Look, I'm going along with you, but I do want to ask one final question. I know you did a segment of teams that can get started with a hot start. And I'm going to throw A&M at you and ask you, can they? And does it even matter? Because they technically had a hot start last year. I'm in the camp of hot all season. Aren't we all? It's more important if they get a hot start how they finish, right? So just kind of take that information, do with it what you want.
Well, sustainability is what you're talking about. That's why every year I always look at it as gas in the tank. Like some years we learn if you need 12 weeks of gas in the tank, there's no way to know until you get to week 12 whether someone had enough gas in the tank. And so sure enough, there are going to be teams who start hot every September. And we realize around Halloween, they had 8 weeks of gas in the tank. That's what you cannot be. And that's why, when you work the way you do in spring, when you work the way you do in summer, you're not working for week 1 or 2, although that's what you're focused on. You're working for like week 12 when you got to go into Fayetteville or somewhere like that. And there's this dead in the water team that's got you on the ropes in the fourth quarter inexplicably. Well, that's because it's hard to play sustainably at that level over an entire season. So if they can be sustainably good, you don't have to be great every week. Have a baseline of good with peaks of great. Just avoid the cataclysmic dips into terrible. That would be enough for us, I think.
Josh, great stuff, man. Enjoy your time there in Vegas.
Appreciate you, David.
Later, man. Josh Pate, brought to you by Academy Sports and Outdoors. We'll hit a break, open segment, and we'll get to your text messages at 979-693-1150. Let's talk a little Rollo Insurance. The great people there, I should be able to see them this weekend. At our preseason kickoff, the Rollos are always there. When the unexpected happens, whether a car accident, property damage, or business liability, preparation matters. And Rollo Insurance, the Rollo Insurance Group, ensures that you're properly covered before crisis strikes. Their independent agents provide a consultation across all the insurance types, giving you confidence that details are going to be handled correctly. With over 60 offices in the great state of Texas, they are everywhere, but they're also nationwide. The true value of insurance becomes clear during those critical moments when you need to file a claim, and Rollo is going to walk you through each step of the process, advocating on your behalf when you need support the most. They'll help you understand what is covered, what to expect, and how to move forward. Don't wait until disaster strikes to discover gaps in your coverage. Visit rolloinsurance.com/TexAgs. That's rolloinsurance.com/TexAgs, or call them up, 888-44-ROLLO. That's 888-44-ROLLO. We are back on TexAgs Live. We're presented by David Gardner's Jewelers. We're in the Rollo Insurance Studio. My friend Philip Vargas sent me this information of an event happening this weekend. By the way, it's going to be happening, I believe, after our PKO. So an awesome event to go to. Saturday, July 26th, the Brazos Valley Bombers are honoring Casey Whitmer, a former Bombers pitcher and College Station native. Casey died of cancer at the age of 35 2 years ago on the 26th. In his honor, Casey's family set up the Full Count Casey Whitmer Foundation, which is dedicated to supporting families navigating challenges of cancer and other serious illness by providing assistance with non-medical expenses. The family would greatly appreciate your attendance at the game or any donation that you're willing to provide. They're on Venmo at Full Count Foundation, or you can email them at fullcountfoundation@gmail.com to drop off a check. So make sure that you guys go support the Bombers. And I'm looking at one of the flyers that they have. Join us at Woodson Party on Deck. You're invited. $20 a person. Kids 3 to 12 play all night with all access kids zone wristband, grilled hamburgers and beer and hot dogs, 2 premium sides included, bottled water and drinks and bottled beer. So that's on Saturday, July 26th. Gates open at 6:05. First pitch, 7:05. So go support and honor Casey Whitmer. All right, let's go to the Angry Elephant News and Social Center. I don't know if you saw, Nigrin, the Aggie kid on the YouTube page says, Nuño, who's the best NCAA 26 player at TexAgs? I'm sure this isn't a controversial question. And I don't know.
I have no idea.
There was a time in my life, pre-kids, PK, okay, pre-kids, where video games were pretty much daily. I would say until a little bit before kids. I think I stopped at around 30 because I got super busy. But I would say from the age of Atari. Do you know? Are you familiar with Atari?
I've heard of it.
Okay, what is it?
It's like I don't know exactly how to describe it, but
It's
I've
a
heard.
video game
Yeah,
system.
I was gonna say I've heard of it.
Yeah, you didn't know. Pac-Man and those kind of games. Galaga. I don't know if Galaga was on Atari. I made that up. ColecoVision. Familiar with ColecoVision? ColecoVision was the bomb. Okay. Obviously Nintendo, 3DO, Sega Genesis, Sega. There were many different ones. I played all that from probably the age of 6 until 30. And when NCAA football would come out, or Madden would come out, or NBA Live, MLB, I'm trying to think of the Joe Montana's football. These are all games that I played. And Baseball Stars was a game where it was like early on where you could simulate a season and make trades early in the days. Like now that's like normal for you kids.
Yeah.
Oh, I don't know of any. I mean, I know people play it. I don't know of the TexAgers.
I play it personally. I'm in the middle of an Old Dominion rebuild right now, but I'm not. I wouldn't say I'm the best.
It's definitely going to be one of the interns because I'm like you, David. I haven't touched a game in like 5 years. You know, and
Yeah.
I got a job and responsibilities, so got to pay the bills. So,
What was the game that I used to play back in the day? NBA Jam. Are you familiar with
yeah,
NBA
I do.
Jam?
They had a really fun app I used to play all the time.
There was an app on NBA Jam?
Yeah, and it was
It was,
awesome.
if I remember correctly, it was 2-on-2, right?
Yeah.
Or is it 1-on-1?
You catch on fire.
Yeah.
Dunk
2-on-2,
like
I think.
50 feet in the air.
Greatest, I already know the answer. You guys can't argue with this. There's a couple, actually. There's 2. Greatest football video game player ever.
Bo Jackson Tecmo Bowl.
There you go. That's the only answer.
Yeah.
Or Walter Payton.
Okay.
Tecmo Bowl.
Yeah, that's fair.
Are you familiar with these humans, Nick, or no?
Of course I am.
Okay, just making sure. All right, let's get something of substance before we hit a break. Niger.
So we had Ray from Great Falls text in. He said, maybe a stupid idea. Go to a 16-team playoff with the number 1. He said Division II. I think he means FCS team as the 16 seed.
Ray, I don't ever tell anybody that's a stupid idea. I just move on to the next topic.
I wouldn't mind seeing that.
Why?
I don't know. I just feel like
You wouldn't mind.
I wouldn't mind seeing. I feel like some of the FCS teams are just kind of.
They have
It's
their
almost
own
like a
thing.
version of, what do you call it in soccer? Relegation?
Yeah, if we had relegation, sure, right? Promotion and relegation. But we're just saying, like, if North Dakota State wins, like they're playing Clemson in round 1.
I mean, they could. They played.
No.
They played Colorado last year in Colorado,
and they
and
played
it
well.
was pretty. It was pretty close. So who?
I don't want that for my postseason. Okay?
That's fair.
I'm not saying it's a stupid idea. I'm just saying no.
I kind of liked it.
Well, you would.
What is that supposed to mean?
Because you said you liked it, so you would like it.
Okay.
All right. When it comes to preserving your farm or ranch's legacy, it's not just about capturing pretty pictures. No, it's about understanding the essence of your land, understanding what really matters, transferring those values that your operation was built on for the future generations that are going to inherit it. You know I'm talking about Chance McClain. You know I'm talking about Heritage Films. They are storytellers. They are family storytellers. They tell your family story. They tell your family ranch's story, your family business story. My hands are connected here for some weird reason as I talk. Anyway, you want to capture these cinematic time capsules and have somebody who is an artist, if you will, at telling these stories. Chance McClain has done Broadway musicals, started radio stations. He's done it all. He's done movies. He's done everything. And now he does these heritage films, which he's been doing for about 5 years. And I know TexAgers love it because everybody I talked to who's done it, Roy Sickman, shout out to you, who's done it, loves it. The Abello family has done it. I know many, many folks who have done it. And of course, they're all related to Aggies because Aggies care about our story. Reach out to Chance McClain and his team, 713-893-8341. That's 713-893-8341. Or visit yourheritagefilm.com. That's yourheritagefilm.com. Now, I don't know if you guys know who Theo Huxtable was. Did you know Theo Huxtable?
No.
You guys didn't watch The Cosby Show? I know that saying Bill Cosby is not a good thing anymore, but like you guys are familiar with The Cosby Show, right?
Yes.
It was one of the greatest shows of all time, right? Theo Huxtable was Bill Cosby's son, Malcolm Jamal
Oh, yeah,
Warner.
he just passed away
yesterday, which weird. Not that yes, it's weird that he passed away, and I feel terrible, but like I saw a picture of him recently. The dude has not aged, and he's older than, like, he's in his 50s. Horrible story. I don't know why I brought that up. It just randomly popped in my head as we're starting the segment on TexAgs Live because it's the summer. What's that?
I said that was an interesting start to the segment.
See, when we were growing up, seriously, TV shows mattered. Like in your generation, what TV show matters? I have a football thing I'm about to bring up, but go ahead.
I don't even know, because like watching a TV show, like TV shows on TV don't matter at all, really. People watch them on like streaming services online.
Yeah, but at least at some point in your life, was there not a sitcom that your family or you had to watch? Nick, come on, you're.
I mean, when I was in like high school, and this was before my time.
The
but
Office?
That 70s show, I loved that 70s show.
Did you watch the remake?
There's a remake? Oh,
yeah,
I knew that. No, I didn't.
I think it's called that
gonna ruin
90s
it.
show or something like that.
Because it's going to ruin it.
And then didn't everybody get arrested on that show?
They're all losers or something like that. Like, I don't care. I don't want to know that.
Oh, okay, I just told you. Anyway, so no shows?
My family watched The Middle.
Pardon? Malcolm in the Middle?
The Middle.
What's The Middle?
No, it's just The Middle.
I've seen that one. That's
what is this, The Middle? What is that about?
It's like a family in Indiana. Like, it's just,
sounds terrible.
Well, I mean, it kind of related to my family because there's 3 kids, and in my family and it was just kind of
it's
like,
a family of 3 kids in Indiana. That's what the story's about.
I mean, yeah, and it's just like,
as
that
someone
show
who
sucks.
doesn't know, David, as someone who doesn't like a lot of TV shows, like, that was a good one.
Thank you.
I think you'd like that one.
Look, I don't even know how we got here. I have a real football thing, but I got to say this, okay? So, like, for reals with a Z. When I was growing up, we had to watch shows that we would never watch because that was on television. You think I wanted to watch The Honeymooners? All right? That was made in the 50s, all right? Jackie Gleason, but I watched it. I was like, oh, okay, it's not that bad. Gilligan's Island, great show. No chance you guys watched that.
No.
Before my time, okay? What other shows like that? Small Wonder, Saved by the Bell. You ever watch Saved by the Bell?
My sister did. I have not.
Like, these are shows, like, you guys have missed out on, like, everything is geo-targeted in your lifetime. Like, you guys don't accidentally hear songs because you don't have to listen to the radio. My kids, whatever's on their Spotify playlist, right? You didn't have to accidentally watch a show that you didn't think you were going to be interested on because it started right after your show, right? Like, you're just like, nah, I'm going to go watch this.
I mean,
you're missing out. I'm angry about
Reese,
it.
do you feel like you're getting like yelled at by your dad right now for, you didn't really do anything wrong?
Yeah, a little bit, yeah, because I mean,
I'm just making a generational comparison. We
that's
had
fair.
to watch shows that sucked that we eventually ended up liking, and songs that suck. Like, like the first 17 times you hear them, you're like, I hate that song, and then that song jams.
Yeah, I don't know.
Okay, I probably should hit a break here, but I promised football. So I'm going to give you football. Rick, buddy of mine, he's a Texas fan. That's all right. He sent me a tweet. Fox Sports top 10 biggest college football rivalries of all time. I'm going to read you the list, okay?
I have it pulled up.
Michigan, Ohio State, number 1. Alabama, Auburn, number 2. Oklahoma, Texas, number 3. Army, Navy, 4. Notre Dame, USC, 5. Where's Texas A&M? We'll get to them in a minute. And Texas. Number 6, Florida State, Miami. Number 7, Florida, Georgia. Number 8, BYU, Utah. Before Texas and Texas A&M at number 9. And number 10, Mississippi State and Ole Miss. Let me tell you why this list sucks. If BYU and Utah didn't play next year, would anyone notice?
The Mormons would.
Okay, 19 people. If a bear, in the woods, right? Like let's be honest. Texas and Texas A&M was must-watch. I'm yelling a lot today. It's a lot of the caffeine. if Texas A&M and Texas was must-watch television by the world, okay? People in Pakistan, in Kazakhstan, in Melbourne, everybody was watching it. Everybody was watching it. If you took away many of these rivalries for a few years, would anyone notice?
No.
I'm pretty sure, I could be wrong here. Florida State and Miami, there was a stretch where they weren't playing every year.
No, and I wouldn't put that up.
And I love that rivalry. I grew up on that rivalry watching it. Great rivalry. Not better than Texas A&M. Florida, Georgia, I don't think so, but whatever. Freaking BYU, Utah, no. You have A&M at 9 just above Mississippi State and Ole Miss?
Yeah, the Egg Bowl.
No.
No, I don't.
Okay. Rick says he thinks that Texas and OU should be number 2. Whatever. Maybe.
Yeah, was that one even on the list?
Texas
number
OU
10.
was number 3 on the list.
Okay.
By the way, when I was growing up, I would say up until maybe 98, I would say A&M Texas during my lifetime was a bigger deal than Texas OU. A couple things happened. A&M obviously had the Big 12 years that weren't good to us. Oklahoma had amazing years in the Big 12. Texas had their national championship in 2005. But I'm going to go with my lifetime and maybe my narrow-minded thinking. A&M and Texas was a bigger deal. Okay? I understand the pageantry of the Cotton Bowl, all that stuff. I get it, whatever. But if most of these went away for 10 years, would there be an outcry? Would the whole world be watching when they came back? No. Now, I think Alabama, Auburn, yeah. Army and Navy, of course, it's cool. But look, I like that rivalry. It ain't on the same level.
No.
It's on the same level for different reasons, right?
Yeah.
For what they mean to this country.
Yeah.
Okay? And it's always a good game. Notre Dame, USC, they're talking about this not continuing.
Yeah.
Are people really that mad?
No. Nobody, at least right now, today, nobody cares about the USC
I think if you
Notre Dame
give
rivalry.
this, A&M and Texas playing again another 5-6 years, that rivalry is going to shoot back up the list. I just think it might be. If you think about it, David, who made that graphic? Who made that list? Probably somebody our age, as in 20 to 25. Yeah. They don't remember, what you're talking about back in the day. Exactly. So that's why
they grew up watching shows on iPads and not watching real sitcoms.
Why'd you look at me when you said that?
Because you're here. Right? If you have if most of your lifetime you've watched sports on your phone or your iPad, you can't make graphics about college football. That's the rule.
Well, okay? I'll let all of our intern staff know they can go home.
you can overlook it. All right? You have to have it's like having a guardian watching you when you go out, right?
Yeah.
I'm yelling a lot today, and I'm not mad at anybody.
No.
I'm just passionate today. That list sucks, and if you disagree with me, you suck too.
Wow.
I'm kidding. I'm just in that mood today. I apologize. I'm usually really nice, I promise. Except when I have my headphones on at the gym. Other than that, I'm really nice. Unless you see me in public. Anyway, if your organization or your business, I see Nick grabbing his head as I was like, oh, come on, David.
That wasn't at you.
What was that at?
No, it's just doing it in general. But, your description's pretty accurate.
I like people.
Dude, I'm the same way.
I don't like some people, but I like a lot of people. I like nice people.
Agreed.
If you're rude, if you're a troll, if you don't have a real name on social media, I don't like you. Unless I know you and I think you're nice. That's the only time. What does that have to do with the Association of Former Students? Thank you, Reese, for offering that. If your organization or business is looking for an opportunity to engage with Aggies and you want an opportunity to be around a bunch of them, you need to reach out to the Association of Former Students. They bring Aggies of all ages together during some of their awesome events. You know the calendar. You should know it by now. But these marquee events like Aggie Ring Day, All Aggie Hullabaloo, and The Gathering welcome tens of thousands of guests. And there are many sponsorship and vendor opportunities available to get your brand in front of those attendees. They offer a wide variety of both digital and in-person options to promote your brand. These options include title sponsorship naming, on-site presence, activation, and recognition in social media posts. There's also advertising opportunities in both the Texas Aggie Magazine and the Aggie News newsletter, which are seen by over 230,000 people. So if your business is ready to engage with Aggies, choose a partner with the organization that's been supporting the Aggie Network for over 140 years. For more information on more information on options available through the association, please email sponsorships@aggienetwork.com. It is the Association of Former Students. TexAgs Live, presented by David Gardner's Jewelers, Rollo Insurance Studio. So I just reacted to the stupid text or tweet from Fox Sports about rivalries. And in there, I talked about, where A&M should be on the list and yada, yada, yada. I think Sandman, who's a Texas fan, says that might be the most Nuño thing I've ever heard. And I explained during my early moldable years that A&M Texas was a bigger deal than Texas OU. And I didn't go into detail, but I'll tell you why. A&M has not held up their end of the bargain for the most part throughout the history of the rivalry, right? But when my moldable years in sports, right? And unfortunately, it's only an 18-year sample size or 19-year sample size. I'm talking about when I started watching A&M football, probably in like 83, 84. But I looked online, A&M versus Texas from, let's see if I can find it, from 1980 to 1999. So I was like 4 years old through my college years, okay? During those years, A&M won 11 of the matchups. Texas won 9 of them. There was a stretch between 84 and 91 that A&M won 7 of the 8 games. So like when I became an Aggie mentally, I don't know why I did quotes. I became an Aggie mentally in the early 80s. My older cousin George went to A&M. We started going to Bonfire. That's how I became an Aggie. So I grew up in my multiple fan years from 1980 through my time in college. A&M was the place to go. Mac Brown started changing that thing, obviously, in 1998. And then A&M hadn't held up their end of the bargain for the most part. So that's why when I think of the rivalry, I think about me as a 5, 6, 7, 8-year-old. I recognize I still have 20 seconds, Brian Broadcasting. I'm all good. You're listening to TexAgs Live, presented by David Gardner's Jewelers in the Rollo Insurance Studio. I want the music to get louder again and again before I hit a break. One more time. Get it louder. Just a little bit. Just a little bit. Okay, we'll be back. Rollo Insurance Studio. So last week at SEC Media Days, I had Brooks Austin on the show. He was great. And then, in fact, I was like, hey, we got to get you on the show more often. He had done the show in previous years, but then he does this Marcel Reed breakdown. And I'm like, bro, we got to go back-to-back weeks on him. So we go to the Buffy's Catering Hotline, and that's where we're joined by Brooks Austin, the film guy, director of recruiting on the SI Network, lead editor for Bulldogs on SI. What's up, bud? How you been?
Hey, man, it's just a good little play here. Just do a Marcel Reed study, and then TexAgs is going to call you and get you on the show. Put you in front of a massive platform of fighting Aggie land folks. So I'm here to do it. Let's talk some Marcel Reed, baby.
I'm glad you didn't make fun of me because I mixed man and bruh right there, and I gave you like a murr. So, hey, Brooks, I want to get into how you became the film guy. Like, before we actually break down Marcel, like, What's your background, and how did you kind of start analyzing football from a film perspective?
Yeah, so played college football myself. Division II, not anything massive. Was an offensive lineman that had to kind of win with wits, understand where people are going to be before they're there. That way I could beat them to the spot, if you will. And have kind of applied that same thought process to my media career. Noticed very early on that there are some people that know football in the media world, but there are not a lot of football people that can educate football, get up on the board and speak high levels of football to a middle school level or an elementary school level. I always like to say, I want people who know football at a calculus level to come to my channel and be entertained. I want those people that know football at a kindergartner level to come and be educated. Okay, so our channel is a place where you can be both entertained and educated, all surrounding the game of football, which is something that I love a tremendous amount of.
And then how did you get affiliated or start covering Georgia?
Yeah, so was just doing like everybody else, doing a podcast in sports media, and got an opportunity to cover Georgia. It was my first paid opportunity, and that's all that I needed to hear as someone who is freelancing in media for quite some time. So I got an opportunity for a chance to cover this beat, and have done it really, really well. I think we're going on year 7 or year 8 now covering Georgia, and have since, continued to further expand what we do on the network, because football intrigues me, man. Not just studying what Georgia does, but studying what other schools are doing, what other coordinators are doing, how other players are having success. So just a person who's intrigued tremendously by football, and I let my curiosities take me wherever we go.
Brooks, I want to get into one of your tweets in a moment about Noah Thomas, but let's start off with Marcel Reed. I don't have the tweet in front of me, but you basically talked about you've got DJ Lagway having to do Pythagorean's theorem, right? And you've got a little I don't want to call it a dumber offense, but an easier to digest offense for Marcel Reed. Kind of talk about that from a big picture perspective.
Hey, and by the way, for first-year starters and pretty much any college quarterback, I want the system to be easy. I want the system to have layups. I want the system to be, have a lot of high success rates for the quarterback. But no, what I was watching is I'm watching Florida last weekend going into SEC Media Week, and I charted the first 25 throws against Tulane. And of the 25 throws against Tulane, 23 of them were 15 yards or beyond the line of scrimmage. They're all what we call big boy throws. That's intermediate to deep passing. It's not very easy to do, okay, no matter how good of a thrower you are, no matter how talented you are. And then I turn on the tape of Texas A&M, and the whole offense is predicated on how do we maximize our quarterback and how do we make this thing easy for him. And I just felt it. I felt it was what I call a dichotomy of offense, right? Like one guy being asked to solve world hunger and one guy just being asked to just play alongside the rest of us. So it was just very interesting to me to see. And that's what I do. I honestly do love about studying multiple different schools, is just seeing how many different ways guys are trying to get the same job done. We're all trying to win. So everybody's trying to be explosive offensively. How are you going about doing that? And what are you asking your players to do is the coordinator's job. And I felt like Colin Klein was doing a really, really good job last year of trying to maximize a young quarterback skill set. What I'm interested to see is he going to be able to morph what was a very obvious pro-style passing concepts with Connor Weigman and then this RPO college-y offense? Is he going to be able to morph both of them now that he's 100% sold that Marcel Reed's the guy? Because I think Marcel can do all of those things. I think Marcel's an extremely talented thrower of the football, and I know he comes from a football background, his dad being a lifer and a lifetime college football coach. Are you going to get into that more pro-style offense mixed with some of that RPO stuff that really maximizes Marcel's athleticism?
So some of the skeptics out there will say that Marcel doesn't throw the ball down the field enough. He doesn't survey the field. What did you see, and what maybe gives you some optimism that will evolve in year 2?
Yeah. So it's why I'm big on are you paying attention to what they're being asked to do? I don't know how you can say that Marcel Reed doesn't process the field or that Marcel Reed doesn't see the field or whatever your negative criticism about. He wasn't asked to do any of that. I watched the whole game. I broke it down. We just did it, okay? There was never hey, here's the front side of the concept. We got a smash concept over here, and then the number 3 read and the progressions, this backside dig. And if we get to number 4, there's a swing right here from the running back, and we're checking that down. He wasn't asked to do any of that. So, like, I don't know how you can sit there and say he's not processing when there were no plays for him to process. Okay, most of what they were doing last year with Marcel was off of RPO, and it was half-field reads. Okay, so if they ask him to do full field reads this year, I got a feeling he's going to do that. I'm a big pedigree guy. I'm a big, where do you come from? What is your life skills in football? What is your life experience in football? Tell me about your background. Marcel Reed's dad was a head football coach at Tennessee State for, I think, a decade. Okay, so a Division I head football coach's son. That guy's had high levels of football conversation for a long time. Okay, he comes from a pro-style high school offense. Go watch what he did in high school. He was under center, turning his backs to defense, okay? He can read it. I have a full confidence in saying that, not having, quote-unquote, seen it on tape. By the way, I watched Connor Weigman try to read the field last year in a pro-style offense when they were calling plays for him, and he couldn't do it. Okay, so they went to Marcel because he had the athletic traits and he could win with his legs while his brain caught up with the speed of play because he's a young football player. I expect him to catch up with the speed of play this year.
All right, so I don't know which games you watched of him, but offensively they struggled against Texas. Who didn't?
Yeah.
Offensively, for 2 quarters, they struggled against South Carolina. But then you saw the LSU game when he came in the second half. You saw the high. You saw what he did against Florida. So kind of give me both. The highs of Marcel, the lows of Marcel, and what you saw in those.
So I honestly, I think that's you just explained Texas A&M football the last 5 years to me. As an outsider observer, Nuño, like Texas A&M football has been this for 5 years. It's like you show up one week and you beat the hell out of South Carolina on the road, and then the next week you show up at home and you lay an egg. You know what I mean? It's kind of been that for me. But the highs of Marcel last year were not just when he was winning, it's when the people around him were winning. When we're half-field read, meaning, hey, we're going to read this go route right here. If it doesn't work, we just don't have much else off this RPO. If the guy out there isn't winning, the offense isn't going to win. So we're going to have this up and downness to us, right? We're going to have this boom or bust quality to our offense when we're kind of half-field ready or when we're RPO-y based. When we're that way, we're going to have these types of spurts of stagnation with spurts of explosivity. Honestly, I thought Auburn had this very same problem last year, where it felt like moments of time where they were unstoppable, and then moments of time where they were 3 and out, and then moments of time where they were turning it over ad nauseum. So when you're RPO dependent, when you're half-field read dependent, if those people that we called to play for aren't winning, the play won't win. The play will be thrown in the dirt, basically. And you see a lot of that on that tape. I don't expect that to happen this year for them this year. I expect Colin Klein to have this offense be a little bit more like professional, okay? Be a little bit more asking the quarterback to do more because we know he can. I fully believe in Marcel.
I want to kind of go that route a little bit longer because one of the big issues last year was separation from wide receivers, right? We just didn't see enough of that. So consider that, consider a young quarterback, and now consider some of the pieces he has around him. I think KC can get a separation. Mario Craver can get separation. Terry Bussey, we'll see what player he turns into be. He can get separation. So think about that and what the A&M offense could look like with a little bit of separation.
So, I mean, the Concepcion addition is huge for a football team that's going to be running as much RPO as they do, which, by the way, they're going to have more pro-style stuff, but with the athleticism that Marcel presents, like, I want to be stressing defenses with RPOs quite often, okay? So with that being the case, with Casey's Concepcion right there in the slot, I think he's an immediate answer. Right, an immediate option to get the ball to and do it so accurately. I was really impressed with Marcel's level of ball, his ball placement and his accuracy on those intermediate underneath routes. Right, those things off of RPOs, the slants, the speed outs, the swing routes, things like that require really quick arm action, but real good touch and accuracy with the football. I think the Concepcion addition is massive for this football team. I thought he was one of the best wide receivers entering last year's season. He just had Grayson McCall as a quarterback, and that's a little bit unfortunate for him.
Talking to Brooks Austin here on TexAgs Live. All right, so I'm going to ask you about Noah Thomas. And let me give you a little info from our perspective of Noah. Love Noah. Wish he stayed. He would be exactly what I think this offense might be lacking this year. We'll see what happens with Jerome Miles. We'll see what happens with Amari Niblack, a big physical receiver. But I feel like sometimes Noah disappeared in games, okay, in his time here at A&M.
Yeah.
I think he's going to be a very nice addition to Georgia. You said there were times that you noticed he was unguardable. So what about Noah intrigues you on that path? And also, did you notice some of the same things we talked about?
Yeah, I think the game logs tell me that he wasn't getting fed. I don't think he has a game with more than 6 receptions. So he's kind of been not a lot of heavy usage guy, which, to be honest with you, most 6'6", 200-pound X receivers, they're not getting 13 targets a game, okay? Most guys that fit that category are like 6'3". So these big-bodied targets, we kind of have to wait until we get in that plus territory to even really focus on them or feature them, which I felt like Texas A&M did every time they were in that green zone, right? That plus 25 and in, they were hunting Noah Thomas. They were trying to get him some type of, jump ball opportunity. But no, man, what I noticed about Noah and Texas A&M last year, particularly in that Auburn game, and then you turn on that USC game in the red zone, it's like the offensive coordinator realized, I don't think people can guard this guy right now. And you see these moments in his game log where he'll go 3 for 75, 2 touchdowns, 6 for 105, 1 touchdown, right? These explosive games, and then these games where he disappears. It also could be coverage. I noticed very early on or midway through that Auburn football game, that defense from Auburn started to dictate coverage towards Noah. And when we start to do that, we're inevitably going to take you out of the equation. So I'd really have to go back, Nuno, and watch those games and see why, specifically why you're not getting the ball or why the offense isn't targeting you or why we're not featuring you today. And the answer very well could be they're dictating coverage. They're sliding safeties over us. So we're not going to be getting you the ball. We're going to use that to get everybody else the ball today. I think in the 2 or 3 games I watched them, I think I saw 1 drop. So it's not like, and you correct me if I'm wrong, Nuno, you watched every game. Is this a drop guy? Is this a guy that's got major drop concerns? No, I wouldn't say a drop
guy. But
so it's just a consistent separation thing. Are you winning every game? That type of thing. But I mean, they don't make him 6'6", 200 pounds and sub 10'8" and 100 very often.
He's a great kid.
He's a very one-of-one athlete.
The one that I will call, I don't know if you want to call it a drop, but the game against USC.
He had one against USC. He tipped off his hands, went back the other way for an interception.
Yeah. So
it was a drop. I'd call it a drop, Nuno.
Okay. So it didn't hit his helmet. I was trying to remember if it hit his helmet or if it hit his hands.
Slightly. We saw it off back left shoulder yesterday. I mean, ball placement could have been better, but catch the damn ball.
Yeah, I agree with that. Hey, so since you watch film and we know how highly touted A&M's offensive line is, what do you think about them this year? And what kind of step can they take? Obviously, the Texas game comes to mind because some of those 4th down situations didn't work out as planned, and there was some play calling there that I think could have been different. But when you look at the A&M offensive line and how highly touted they are, what do you think about them here in this second year of Adam Cushing as the guy leading that charge?
Yeah, not just the second year as the offensive line coach, but knowing who our quarterback is. Really helps us in our consistency and our comfort with the guy behind us because they're just total different play styles too, man. Connor, we kind of knew where he was going to be. We kind of knew the spot that he was going to be, right? Marcel gets in there and we got to play a little bit longer. Our what do you call it? Our internal clock's got to be elongated now because we got a guy that can move around back there. All right. So in some of our pass reps opportunities, it's going to make us a little bit harder, but it's going to open up alleys in the run game for us. So I just think you can't know how much it affects the offense changing the quarterbacks unless you've been in those huddles. I hate to do that, but the difference in style of play was so drastic between how Connor plays and how Marcel plays. And now we know this is our guy. Like, this is who we have to protect, and the style of football that we're going to play with all year. That type of continuity and that type of comfort. Not only that they're immensely talented, they return a lot of starters, but like, they know who their guy is. I think it's going to be so much of a better performance for this football team, and consistent performance from this football team, which I alluded to earlier. That's been the missing key for me for A&M for the last several years. It's not been, oh, they're bad on defense, or oh, they're bad on offense, or oh, they can't do this, or oh, they can't do that. It was, I don't know what you're going to be bad at today. I don't know if you're not going to be able to stop a nosebleed today, or if you're not going to be able to score 12 points today. I don't know what you are. I think this year, A&M's motto for me from an outside standpoint is, are you consistent? Be consistent. And then next year, I'm going to be bullish. If you're consistent this year, I'm going to be bullish next year. That's the way I feel about A&M.
Brooks, I'm looking at your tweet about the top 10 SEC quarterbacks, and I see that you have Marcel at number 7. Is that based on entering the season, or where you think they'll be at the end of the season? And if it is the other, where could Marcel, how high do you think he can move up?
Yeah, so I think that's right now going into the year. All right, I think there's a lot of potential movers there, both positively and negatively. I think it's an opportunity that the Diego Pavia thing has been kind of figured out. Especially when you talk as much as he has this offseason. There's going to be some defensive coordinators that are like, we ain't letting that fly no more. But I think there's several young quarterbacks that could be like vaulted up into the upper echelon of this conference. Marcel Reed, Austin Simmons, Ty Simpson, and Gunnar Stockton. Those 4 young football players are immensely talented. They're at programs with a lot of talent around them as well, with good coaching. So I think it's an opportunity that those 4 guys could really, really vault themselves up that quote-unquote quarterback rankings list you're looking at.
Hey, I want to close out with this Texas and Georgia rivalry that I see on social media.
Yeah.
Georgia wins the battles on the field so far, right? Texas is doing a great job recruiting. There seems to be a little bit of pointing fingers on both sides, and you covered the Georgia perspective. So what do you think of it, and how's that going to play out over the next couple of years, not just this year?
Look, so, I mean, from the guy who covers Georgia's standpoint, Georgia, first of all, I don't think Texas is going anywhere on the recruiting standpoint. Okay, whether or not Deloitte actually has power, whether or not the NIL, loss or House versus NCAA rev share model, whether or not there's actually any type of governance around here, Texas ain't going nowhere on the recruiting front. They've got resources. They've got a booster base that is invigorated right now. I don't think that's going to die off from a Texas can pay whatever they want for recruiting until they win a title, because they're starving right about now for that, as they should be. That fan base should be starving. That fan base and that football program should be in the top 5 annually in terms of player acquisition strategies because of their proximity to talent and their resource pool. But you're right, Georgia's gotten the better of them on field, but this has been a thing now. They swept in late on Justice Terry, and the way that they're doing this is kind of rubbing Georgia the wrong way, all right, and how this has happened, right? Justice Terry, the first school to ever offer that kid was the University of Georgia before he ever stepped foot into a high school hallway. They knew about that kid at 14 years old, were pouring resources and time into that recruitment from day one. They were the first school. They get beat within the last 2 months by Texas. In fact, Justice Terry took his only visit to Texas was during the Georgia-Texas game, and there are quotes of him after that visit saying, "That visit only confirmed to me Georgia's the place to be." And he ends up going to Texas. How's that happen? Well, we all know how that happens, or at least the sane people know how that happens. In fact, I think he told Chad Simmons how that happened. It was a money decision. The Derek Cooper thing. Derek Cooper never took an official visit to Texas. Derek Cooper at one point was a Georgia commit. How does that happen? Well, I don't know. You tell me how that happens. Tyler Atkinson, in every other situation, every other year of recruiting, the last 25 years of player acquisition strategies, that kid's a Georgia Bulldog. That kid's 45 minutes from Georgia, got an offer from Georgia when he was 14 years old, ends up at Texas. Texas wasn't even in the mix until August, or like last couple months. It was nowhere to be found. The James Johnson thing, like out of nowhere. James Johnson on his commitment date was between Georgia, Miami, and Florida. out of nowhere flips to Texas. Like, how? Well, we know how. All right, we know how. Now, the thing about it for me is I just want some transparency. Like, if you're telling me we got one SEC coach, and I know I'm going over time here, but we got an SEC coach in Hugh Freeze talking about, oh, we got a salary cap. We got to get under the number. Everybody's false promises. We'll find out August 1st. And then we got Texas, who apparently is operating with a bottomless budget. It's just very weird to me how this is getting done, and nobody can offer me a level of transparency. Nobody can tell me the facts about any of this stuff. And I'm an insider. I have intel. You do too, Nuño. And we have no idea what's going on. We have no transparency. That's all I want. Just give me transparency. And then we can have fun about all of this, right? We have transparency in the NFL, and NFL free agency is the biggest time period of the year in terms of content, in terms of people talking about the sport. The NFL draft is a massive content builder for that model, because they have consistency and transparency around their acquisition strategies. We have none of that. Zero. Sorry, got on my high horse.
That's all good. And look, I do have to hit a break, but I got to ask you, what about on the field this year? How do you see it playing out?
I mean, I got Georgia winning the one in Athens, and then them meeting again in the SEC championship, and then Texas probably winning that one. I think they split it this year.
Brooks, I appreciate it, brother. Thanks for your time. We'll do it again, all right? Yeah, it was a great conversation.
No doubt, boys. Y'all be good.
See you. Brooks Austin, the film guy, breaking it down here on TexAgs Live. Follow him on YouTube and on social media. We'll hit a break. We'll come back. Open segment. Then we'll talk to Dari Nowkhah of SEC Network. Right now, if your car's been hit by hailstorms, it sucks. Your car's got little bumps all over the place. Don't trust somebody out of town to fix your car. Have it fixed by somebody local who's going to take great care of you. And I'm talking about Classic Collision and Restoration, who specialize in paintless dent repair for that hail damage. So, as you know, those out-of-town pop-up tents are gone. Who's going to stand the test of time? What's going to happen when your trim starts to fall off? Well, I'll tell you, if it's somebody local, they're going to take care of you, because that's what they've done. That's what they'll continue to do. And they've been around this market for over 25 years. Countless customers have trusted them to bring back their vehicle to showroom form. They have a top quality auto repair, and they want to make sure that they take care of everybody in the Brazos Valley. And you know how the saying goes, you get what you pay for. Make sure you get it from somebody you can trust, who's going to take amazing care of you. Don't get your car fixed, get it restored by the good people at Classic Collision and Restoration. Aggie owned and operated. Check out Doug Leopold there, class of 93. It is Classic Collision and Restoration, 979-779-8399. That's 979-779-8399, or online at classiccollisionandrestoration.com. Now, what did Mike Brown say? TexAgs Live, presented by David Gardner's Jewelers Rollo Insurance Studio. We go to the Angry Elephant News and Social Center. Reese Nygren. I know the Shamar Stewart stuff is all over the place. I will just say this. Nobody here is in the negotiating room. We don't know what's true, what's not. I know that a lot of this is, I don't know what to believe, because I've read some stuff about Shamar's agent, again, from a Cincinnati perspective, that will make you say, But I know Shamar Stewart, and I wouldn't say I know him well, but I know him well enough to know the kind of young man that he is. So what are some of the things that Mike Brown was saying?
Yeah, so yesterday the Bengals held their annual media luncheon, and Bengals team president Mike Brown said, quote, "We've been here for a long time. It's never happened, and that's holding up this contract. From our vantage point, it's a form of foolishness. It just ought to get done." And then team executive Duke Tobin said, "He's listening to the advice he's paying for. I don't understand the advice. I don't agree with it. I'm not the one paying for it, but that's where it is. If I thought we were treating him unfairly, it would be a different story, but we're treating him fairly with all the rest of the draft picks in this year's draft."
I know that the Bengals are known as a notoriously cheap organization.
Very.
Let's see. Mike Brown and Shamar Stewart. This is from Charlie Goldsmith. A very peculiar thing. It's not about the money. It's about the guarantee in the case of if he were to do something contrary to the discipline levels of the league. I don't think that's ever going to happen. That's what the holdup. It's never going to happen as long as I can remember. His agent wants it to be as if he acted in a terrible fashion. This is all hypothetical. Something that rises to this level of going to prison, we'd be on the line for the guarantee. So if that is the initial, that's not what I heard the initial holdup was in the beginning. Look, if I'm Shamar, I'm probably getting a new agent, and I'm probably going in the draft again. I think Billy said last week on the show that he thought that things would eventually work out. It's not a good look for anybody. I don't know enough about because I heard it was about certain guarantees. If the guarantees, if you go to prison, I don't know, like whatever's standard. I remember reading in the beginning was about whatever standard protocol contract is. It should be a standard protocol contract, right?
Yeah. So,
but they haven't signed Trey Hendrickson either.
Yeah, and just today, they started their camp today, and Trey Hendrickson is currently in Florida on vacation. So apparently the contract detrimental to the team guaranteed money is a league-wide thing. So it is kind of off the knob that he's not agreeing to this, but I mean, he's fighting for his money.
Yeah. All right, we'll hit a break. When we come back on TexAgs Live, Dari Nowkhah, ESPN, SEC Network, Oklahoma fan, but he's got takes on all the teams. We'll talk to him on the other side on the Bubby's Catering and Bartending Hotline. Right now, Ground Shuttle, they offer frequent and reliable shuttles from Bryan College Station to George Bush Intercontinental Airport. I was just at Bush 2 weeks ago, 10 days ago. I don't remember. It sucks. Okay? Going to Bush is my least, no, actually it was Hobby that I was most recently. But before that, I think I made the same mistake last week. Before I went to Hobby. So we went to Hobby to Atlanta. That was okay. It was far, but it was fine. We went to Bush to go to Charlotte, and it sucked. Parking in Afghanistan, bit of a journey. And the traffic, the construction, they're building new things all the time. I feel like they've been building things at Bush since the 60s, and I wasn't even born in the 60s. But regardless, if you're going there, you want to get there easy and not even worry about it. Let the ground shuttle take you there. They depart right down in South College Station by Casa de Brazil, get dropped off at your office if that's what you want, or you can utilize their convenient, secured parking for free for the first 4 days. But they have 9 shuttle times on the weekends every hour and a half, and 5 shuttle times every weekend every 2.5 hours. It is excellent just to get there and not worry, read, email, sleep, whatever, right? Yoga. I don't know if they'll allow that, but maybe. Check out groundshuttle.com. Groundshuttle.com. Let them do the driving for you. All right, let's go to the Buppy's Catering and Bartending Hotline. Dari Nowkhah joins us from the SEC Network and ESPN. Dari, what's up, buddy?
Hey, good morning, man. It's good to be with you.
Thanks for joining us. So let's start things off with last week, the grind that is SEC Media Days. Any kind of big takeaways from last week that kind of stuck with you?
Sure. Yeah. I mean, I think that it started with Arch Manning and kind of the way he handled himself. I think Sark is always impressive, and I enjoyed that. It was fun to get to meet and chat with John Mateer a little bit. I think most people came away impressed with him. It's always good to kind of see what players stand out to the masses of media that are there. I took away that Tennessee doesn't know who its starting quarterback is, and I actually kind of believe Josh Heupel when he says that.
I got the same feeling from that as well, Dari. I want to go back to John for a second, John Mateer, because I heard a lot about him heading into SEC Media Days. I was like, yeah, I think he'll be good. I saw his highlights, but he does it in the Pac-12. But I don't know if it's the lobbyists that show up there in Atlanta, but I left really, really thinking this guy might be everything people are saying.
I think he is really impressive. And I go back to what I hear a lot come out of Norman in practice, his leadership style, his rah-rah, but without any hesitation to kind of get on to his receivers or his offensive linemen if he feels like he needs to. I think I think he gets tired of the Baker Mayfield comparisons, and I think there's going to be times we watch him and he's going to remind us of him. But I think that it's more with the off the field, the great personality, the leadership, the fun guy, but also the guy that locks into the work. And to hear our Mason Thomas say that it feels like he's been at OU for 3 years because of his comfort level with the Ben Arbuckle system. I don't feel like this is going to be a first-year quarterback, square peg, round hole situation. It does feel like there will be some clear vision and knowledge and comfort coming out of the chute. With Michigan being week 2, I think that's an important thing. But, yeah, I think everybody, including myself, was really impressed with John Mateer, the person.
Dari, what do you think Brent Venables has to do this year to feel safe, if you will? Is this I need to see us in the playoffs? Is it 9+ wins? Is there a vision for him to feel comfortable?
I've never liked putting a win total on something like this because I think an 8-4 season could look very, very different for, 1-8. Do they go win at Alabama and handle and shock Texas, but still somehow lose at home to Auburn and Ole Miss? It's hard to assess with a win number. I think, though, the most important thing is, sure, 9 wins would be great, but show clear and obvious signs of offensive improvement. Now, what's the defense look like with Brent Venables running it day to day, calling the plays? I think it's going to be fine. But was the Ben Arbuckle hire a good one? Are the pieces that they brought in at wide receiver, do they fit? Is there an explosiveness to an offense that did not exist a year ago? Health is obviously going to play a part. That's what brought him down primarily a year ago. I'm not convinced Jackson Arnold is not a good quarterback. But what does the offense look like? Did he hire the right person to run it? His hands-off offensive kind of style now that he's employing this year, does that work for Brent? And what does it look like in general? And there's a big wild card in this too. The athletic director that hired him is stepping away. So they're going to have a new AD. And anytime there's a new AD, that new AD could come in with his or her own vision of who would be best to lead the program. So that's a wild card thing. But if you take the AD part out of it, just clear, obvious improvement, particularly on the offensive side, that gives you hope going into 26.
All right, you mentioned Jackson Arnold there. So if you just look at his stats, they were nice stats. What was it, the 2 interceptions, the 12 touchdowns. But why did it not work at Oklahoma? Why? Those who watched the games, what about it didn't work?
Well, so he's playing behind a piecemeal offensive line, game in and game out. I think they had the same starting 5 twice, injuries, and then there was some of it that was just they needed to grow. But the biggest thing was they played virtually every game with their top receivers injured. So top 5. So you're down to receivers 6 through 8 or 6 through 9, which are not SEC caliber, SEC quality wide receivers, but they're the ones that have to catch the passes and somehow create separation, which they were consistently unable to do. His hand, I think he played with one hand tied behind his back. I know he only had the 6 picks, which looks good. He had some very costly turnovers. He also was very hesitant to throw the football at times, but I don't even blame him for that as much as nobody was creating any separation. I would love to have seen him with a healthy Deion Burks all year, with a healthy group of wide receivers that he had in fall practice and in spring ball, but he never had it. And so I only think a portion of this was really on Jackson. I think it was a confluence of just negative thing after negative thing, bad event after bad event that hamstrung that offense.
Where are you on Marcel Reed and Texas A&M here in 2025?
Really looking forward to watching him, to be honest. I think that he's obviously going to be a guy that a lot of people are watching. His ability to run the football, how is his passing? I think there's something that was left to be desired a year ago, but the way they have built around him, and obviously in that portal with their key acquisitions at wide receiver, I tell you what, I went into media days last week and I was just unsure of what to think about A&M. I couldn't figure him out. But analyst after analyst, coworker after coworker convinced me that offensively they could be really, really good. Obviously, they'll be able to run the football. We know that, and Le'Veon's the key there. And the offensive line. I was worried about, losing Nick Scorton, losing Shamar Stewart, losing Shamar Turner. But that depth that Mike Elko has built, even in a short period of time, I think is significant. They might look a little different defensively, but there's no reason to think they can't still be really, really good because they're pretty stacked in that back seven as well.
So I'm like, all right, LSU's going to lose their opener, right? Because that's what they've done the last 5 years. But I feel like they may change that narrative this year. Where are you on LSU?
I'm a little high on them, to be honest. I'm hesitantly high on LSU. I think that when you look at these teams and what they bring, and you're like, okay, where are the fewest question marks? And I tend to think it's them. It starts at quarterback, right? I mean, Bama, Texas, and Georgia all breaking in first-year starters. LSU's not. They've got a guy that's been in the system in that program 5 years. He's worked with Joe Sloan for 4, the last 2 as offensive coordinator. So I like where they are there. There's obviously talent on that offense around him. Defensively might look a little bit different, but if they can figure out the right way to utilize Harold Perkins and he and Whit Weeks make plays back there, I think that they have the fewest questions to answer. If they go to Clemson and lose, I don't know that my take on them is going to change. That's a really difficult opener for LSU, but I think in the end, they've got a real solid shot to be in Atlanta playing for that conference championship, and I think they should be a playoff team.
Dari, are you enjoying this new rivalry that is Texas and Georgia for different reasons, right? It's not because of history or region. It's because Texas is doing a really good job recruiting everywhere, but especially in the state of Georgia. Georgia's calling it, at least the fans are saying it's only about the money, and it's back and forth. Georgia won both games last year. Are you enjoying this?
I think it's great. And that was one of the exciting things with Oklahoma and Texas coming to the league, right? What new rivalries are going to form? That would make sense. I mean, they both are going to recruit like crazy. They both have endless pockets, it would seem. And we'll see if this new landscape evens things up a little bit for everybody else. But at the same time, they are, to me, clearly the 2 best head coaches in this league. So, and they'll represent their programs with everything they've got. And so I think it makes sense that those 2 programs would be this great rivalry. And on the other side, I think Oklahoma and LSU over time are going to develop a really good one, particularly if they allow those 2 to continue to play that last week of the season.
Who do you think can be the disruptor in the SEC? Maybe a team that isn't one of those top tier teams, but like you could see being maybe the South Carolina of last year.
Yeah, 2 of them come to mind. One is Oklahoma, and for all the reasons we've talked about, I think they're really going to be good defensively, and I think this offense is going to take major strides. If you look at that offense, it was historically bad. They still managed to win 6 games in the regular season, and I'm not sure how. It's going to be drastically better this year. The other one, Florida. I really like Florida. Billy Napier's done a phenomenal job of recruiting. He's got a couple of 5-stars that are going to see significant action on the outside. They bring back some experience there. They're going to be able to run the ball with Jaden Baugh. We obviously know DJ Lagway is legitimate. Good, solid offensive line. Defensively, they may give up some points, but I don't think it's going to be a number of points that they can't overcome in most days. So I think Florida and Oklahoma are the 2 potential disruptors.
This feels weird saying out loud, and I've done it a couple of times, but I'm high on Alabama. And history would say, of course you're high on Alabama. But something tells me year 2, for Kalen DeBoer is going to look different. And I haven't seen Ty Simpson play enough. Nobody has, right? So that is a huge question mark. But I think with that defense and some of the pieces around him offensively, Ryan Williams, obviously, I think this could be a year that they get back into that championship fold.
Well, I think if we go back to a conversation we had about Oklahoma offensive coordinator Ben Arbuckle, I think we have the same thing about Alabama offensive coordinator Ryan Grubb. But it might even be better because he and Kalen DeBoer obviously have had incredible success from Sioux Falls to Eastern Michigan to Fresno State to Washington. And that was his guy all along. And last year he thought he had him, and then Grubb gets the deal with the Seahawks. Doesn't work out with Pete Carroll, so now he's a free agent again, and now Kalen's got him back. So really what Kalen's offense has always looked like is because of Ryan Grubb. Ryan Grubb rejoins Kalen DeBoer in Tuscaloosa. So I think that is, as it may be, if you look at key acquisitions that are not necessarily players, I think Ben Arbuckle and Norman and Ryan Grubb in Tuscaloosa are potential difference makers.
Dari, do you find yourself rooting for SEC teams because of your position where you basically cover all the programs?
I mean, I root for the SEC in general. I'm an Oklahoma grad, and so I've always been an OU fan, born and bred in that state. So I certainly on the inside, I root for OU quite a bit. But yeah, I certainly root for the SEC to succeed. It makes our jobs more fun. It gets us to go cover great playoff games. Like, I got to go to Columbus last year to watch Tennessee and Ohio State. I'd never been to Ohio State before. It was an unbelievable atmosphere. So you kind of root for them selfishly to get opportunities, but you also obviously want the league to be as good as it can be.
And with Big Ten Media Day starting today, just the gap. I feel like the gap obviously is narrowed with the Big Ten winning the last couple of championships. But that being said, the depth is not there for the Big Ten. So when you kind of caddy and compare the two leagues, just what are some things that you can highlight on?
Yeah, I think they both have supreme programs on top, but it's the depth, as you said. It really is. I think in the Big Ten, realistically, you're looking at three teams that could win that league, right? I think it's Penn State, it's Ohio State, it's Oregon. I think that's it. Beyond that drop from 3 to 4, whether you want to go with Illinois or Michigan or Nebraska, is deep. It is significant. And in the SEC, it's not. If you want to do what everybody's doing and you say it's in some order, Texas, Georgia, Alabama, how far back is LSU? I don't think they're that far back. Oklahoma, Florida, Texas A&M, I don't think any of them could potentially be that far back. And so you could go 10 deep in the SEC with one team that could beat another on any given Saturday, maybe 12 deep. I don't think you're getting past 4 or 5 deep in the Big Ten in that situation. So very top heavy, but good league, but it's not as deep as the SEC by any stretch.
Dari, I'll close out with an A&M question. You didn't mention them in your disruptors. Is that because you still think there's another year away, or is that maybe because you perceive them to be higher than some of those teams that are in the disruptor range?
Yeah, exactly that. I perceive them to be a little higher than that. They're coming off of a bad end to last season with 4 straight losses, but I think they certainly made themselves known and present the vast majority of that season last year, while OU and Florida continued to kind of struggle a little bit. Florida got hot at the end, but I see A&M in a little bit of a different bracket than the disruptor mode. If you're looking at disruptors, I'm looking at Florida, Oklahoma, in that category, Ole Miss, Auburn, that group. I see A&M just a little bit ahead. I think they're a year ahead of those teams, quite honestly.
Dari, great stuff, man. Thanks for making time for us.
Hey, anytime. Good to talk to you. Thank you.
All right, we're going to hit a break. We'll be back in 3. Bye. literally thought the show was over. I was just in my own head. TexAgs Live, presented by David Gardner's Jewelers, Rollo Insurance Studio. All right, Around the SEC, brought to you by the Jaxer Group. Nick, you have anything SEC related you want to throw out at me?
Yeah, a little quick clip from our head coach Mike Elko. A little funny moment. I don't know if you saw this. He spoke at the high school coaching school, or whatever it's called, in San Antonio yesterday. Yeah, whatever it's called. And he had this little fun moment. If you listen.
And I mean, you're at Texas A&M. You're at one of the flagship programs in the state of Texas. I'm curious.
I didn't say that. You did.
Yes.
Just
correct.
before that goes viral again from our wonderful fans over in Austin.
Hey, listen, that's on me. That's on me.
Just a funny moment from our head coach. That's all I got for you.
Oh, and why do people care if he did say they were the flagship? Like, I expect for Sark to talk up Texas. I expect for Lane to talk up Ole Miss. I expect Napier to talk up Florida. I expect, let's see, give me a random coach. Sam Pittman to tell us that Arkansas is going to be good. Jeff Lebby, we're going to double our win total in 2025. By the way, I got a couple of people who messaged me that they like when I get passionate and loud. I think Billy hates it. I think Olin probably doesn't care. What do you guys think? More passion?
I don't mind it.
Nick, more passion, less passion?
More.
Or do you like the whispering host?
No, because I can't hear you, and that makes my job harder.
Hey, Nick, you did a really good job today. Reese, really nice job. Thank you, everybody, for watching. We'll see you mañana.